Why do you write every second you're alive, every second you're alive, alive? I don't remember. It was nonstop. It's cause I watched One Piece fan letter and there's a really great um edit using that song. And it's really have you watched One Piece before?
Yeah, duh. I'm a fan of One Piece.
Oh, what
Yeah.
episode are you on slash manga chapter?
I read the books until 999. And then I stopped. But like I need to keep
A
it.
It's still peaking. Unironically, some of the best One Piece, one of the best One Piece arcs just happened. And the craziest part is it was so hyped throughout that it was hard to, like, I didn't even realize. I think it's like the fourth longest arc. It was supposed to be a small arc. It's supposed to be like a tiny mini arc, but it lasted like 107 chapters and it was so good.
Mm. I
One
mean,
of the best, unironically, one of the best arcs out there, and one of my favorite arcs up there was Skypiea.
oh, I no, I do remember Skypiea. Um,
Yeah, Skypiea is like like before the time skip though.
yeah, there was Skypiea, there was the Big Mama arc. There was also
Yeah, that's like Zoe. You're at the Wano arc or like near the end of it.
yeah, and then there was also like I remember the very beginning where you got Zoro, and then you also had to fight the Sharky gang in order to get
Yeah, Arlong Park,
yeah,
and then
Arlong,
later
yeah.
Fisherman Island, all that stuff. Yeah, uh, yeah, but it's still peaking, and it's still so good. But also, there's because you've watched Marineford, I assume, like you get to see the perspective kind of from Luffy, and it's like, oh, so cool and heroic and epic. But like the newest episode, which is I think it's canon filler, um, essentially you see the like world from the perspective of like a marine and like a little girl,
Yeah.
and the marine like you see Marineford from the marine's perspective, and it's like, holy shit, that's insane. Because you don't get like a good notion of like how ridiculous and like dangerous the world is for a normal person, and then you see it from their perspective, and it's like insane. Because it's like they're just like not sure it's basically just like explosives everywhere from devil fruit powers and stuff like that. It's amazing.
Um, I need to start reading it and watching it all over again. But like I don't know, I just stopped. Life got busy. I just like kind of stopped reading it. I read
If
it
you're
a
gonna
lot.
watch it, don't watch the original, watch the One Piece edit. It's the exact same, except they just edit out like any non-canon filler, and they re-edit some scenes so that they don't take like a billion years. And for episodes, uh, if an episode
Actually,
only has like 7 minutes of new content,
actually,
it'll
really
just
quick.
like stitch a bunch of episodes together. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I have one guest in the chat. I think I'd probably keep you up here. Oh, oops. If you're requesting, please request again. I'll bring you up. Sorry, it took so long to like bring you up. But I guess you can stay up here if you want, Dream. But I'm probably gonna be debating, doing the one v
Oh
one.
yeah, I'm just keeping time, I guess, or killing time
Yeah. Sorry if you're
as I eat
requesting.
oranges.
If you're requesting, request again. I'll bring you up.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm gonna be debating everybody. Oh, someone asked in
Based.
the comments a while ago, do my parents approve of me not believing in God? It was like a hard transition, but yeah, we they believe in God. I grew up Catholic, um, but I don't really believe in God anymore, and I'm agnostic. So but yeah, I'm the agnostic debater. Imagine if I
Based.
become a famous debater and I'm like the agnostic famous debater. That'd be kind of cool, right? Represent.
Honestly, looking at a lot of this stuff, I've realized debate is really not. It's not stupid. It's just like I hate it because I'm starting to realize like if you just study, you'll win any debate. Like, bro, just fucking study. Like, I hate to say it, but just read, motherfucker, just read. And
Mhm.
it's like, because it's there's another funny thing, and it's like, with child psychology, one of the best ways that you can make sure your child is learning and smart and all that stuff, just get them to read. Unironically, getting them to read will improve their math at early ages better, more than just doing math or letting another get step or
Yeah. Cypher requested. Um, but I guess okay. Let me run this 1v1, and I'll get right back to you, Nils. What's up, Cypher? What you got for me? Also, somebody in the comments they said
I have a syllogism against like the LPOE. Let's just see if you agree with these set of premises.
Okay, hold up. Someone in the comments said only you can convince yourself. Seek and you shall find. I don't really believe in that. I'm kind of like against sensationalism. Just because you seek something out, and you believe it as much as you can, that doesn't really mean that like it's gonna be real. So I'm kind of into like evidence and things that would compel me to believe that God exists. People can be delusional. Our senses can be flawed. So skepticism to me is very important in seeking the truth. But go ahead, Zypher.
Do you believe that it is logically possible that omnibenevolence doesn't entail that God has like a duty to prevent all sin? Like not that he has like not that he should prevent some, but like all of it. Is that like a logically possible thing?
How are you defining sin?
Just transgression against the moral law. Just a when like a human transgression against the moral law. Like God's law. Like obviously, but yeah. Is that like logically possible? Like, is it like bro? Do you?
It might help if Zypher you give your definition of omnibenevolence, and then Coco can maybe ask questions about said definition.
No, I'm asking like, is it logically possible to have a view of omnibenevolence that doesn't entail that he would have
Okay,
to
so
all sins?
I do know the definition of omnibenevolence. What do you mean by stop sin, per se?
Are you for real?
Specify.
Yeah, I mean with the like there's no hidden definition. There's no like secret like ulterior motive there. It's like literally like that to prevent sin from occurring. Like would he have a duty to prevent a human that he has created to prevent them from rebelling against his own rule?
I'm gonna say no, it wouldn't be logically possible.
What's the contradiction?
God is all loving. And one thing entailed by being all loving is that you don't want harm to be done to the subject that you're all loving towards.
Is it logically possible to have a view? Can I have a view? Like, let's just say I have this view. Look, my view of omnibenevolence means that like you can like love people, but that doesn't mean that you have to like prevent people from like breaking your rules. Is that like coherent, or is there like a P and not P entailed in that position?
Well,
Coco, it's like, come on, don't be like this, bro.
because I mean, like, it depends on the context, right? So,
What context is there? Is there P not P entailed by the position?
well,
That-
because like, the thing is, like, so like Schmittler committing schmenocide.
Dude,
For
we're
people
not,
who are
we're not
watching,
talking about one-off examples. We're talking about all sin, not a specific sin. We're talking about all sin necessarily.
yeah, but it's
Their view.
contextual. Like different sins have different weight and different harms that they could do to like whoever the transgression is being committed against.
Coco, I don't think you're getting it. That has no bearing on what I'm saying. I can grant all of that. It has nothing to do with what I'm saying. What I'm saying
I would say
is
no.
it possible? We already did get a definition, isn't? Is it possible for me to like hold a view that I hold an omnibenevolent God, like this loving God, but he doesn't have to prevent all of the sins? Can you hold that view, or is that view entail a P and not P? That's all I.
You can hold that view, but I would find it
Okay.
contradicting.
Okay, what is the P and not P necessarily entailed by that
Okay,
view?
so God is all loving, and all loving entails that you're not gonna want like harm to come to the subject that you're all loving of.
Bro, why do you keep
And
saying
and
omni? No, because the whole point of the argument is that the person can define it a specific way in which it wouldn't entail that. And I'm saying if they define it in such a way it wouldn't entail that, does it entail a contradiction? Like you keep just injecting, look, omnibenevolence entails that this can't be a thing. I'm saying, look, I have a view,
Wait, okay, so define omnibenevolence.
just love, just
Love for each creation, right?
possessing infinite love. Yeah.
Yeah, we're both on the same page. So I'm saying that like it's contradictory to say that God is all loving of his creation. He loves his creation. And I would say that in loving somebody, it would entail that you
I'm talking about, can you have
hold on, wait, hold on. Let me get it out. All loving would entail that like you want what's best for your creation. You love your creation.
Why
And
do you
so in having that love for your
that
creation,
infinite
you
love
don't want
entails that
harm
you
to be
actually want
wait, hold
them
on.
all
You don't want harm to be done to them, right? So God is all loving of his creation. He doesn't want harm to be done to him. And then, you're going to say that God is moral. And most things in this world that would cause harm are going to be like in opposition to God or immoral to God, hence sin. So God, there are worlds that could propose to you where people still have the freedom of choice to like make whatever choice that they want. But choice doesn't necessarily entail consequence, and God could like prevent certain sins or prevent the consequential like occurrence that would come from people making certain choices. And so him being all loving would sort of entail that like why wouldn't he step in to like protect the creation that he loves or prevent harm or the consequence of certain choices that are made?
Okay, are you like make sure you got it? Like, is that it?
Go for it.
Okay. No disrespect, but I didn't really hear anything you said because that has nothing to do with what I'm saying. Go
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and I don't, and look, I know that was like I heard you a little bit, but like, look, Coco, I just don't think you're following what I'm saying. Look, under the premise that I'm giving, I could define omnibenevolence as just like, eating shellfish. And that's just what I mean by omnibenevolent. That wouldn't entail that I have to do anything. Like look, Coco. I'm just saying. Look, is it possible? Is it like does this view entail the contradiction that like we're just having infinite love, and then like under this view of infinite love, it just wouldn't mean that I have to prevent all sin. That's it. Like, look, you could still like love people, care for them, provide for them. Is there a contradiction in that view? I'm not asking you what do you think about your view of love and how does it compare to your view of love. I'm not asking you that. I'm
Yeah,
asking.
there's a contradiction in that view.
Okay, because remember, you can define love as whatever you want. You could define love as just hugging trees. You can define are you acknowledging that, or are you just like dropping that? Because remember, we're defining this however you want, and under this view, I'm just saying, is there a contradiction? We'll drop the word love because I really think you're not tracking this, Coco. We'll drop the word love. Is there a contradiction in the view to just hold that there's an agent that doesn't have to prevent all sin?
Okay, I'm gonna say yes because I want to get on to the rest of the argument. This is syllogism. It's like a premise-based argument.
Brother. We don't even have to use it as a premise-based argument. Let's just say this. Look, there's an entity that like cares for people. He like and like he has this essence, and it entails that he has a lot of power, a lot of knowledge, and that like he like cares for people, and he creates things, and he cares for like the things that he creates. Under this view, and remember, we're not invoking any notion of care that you ascribe to. Just what I mean by care, and what I mean by care is that like he has like this agape feeling for them. We'll just say that. Is there a contradiction to say that being doesn't have a duty to prevent all sins?
No, there's no contradiction.
Okay, thank you. And then now we'll just stamp the label. We're just calling that omnibenevolence. Okay, like that. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Like I'm not asking.
You're defining. Wait, you're
I'm not-
defining omnibenevolence.
hold on. Coco. My point was that's what I've been trying to tell you. I'm not asking you what's your view on love and what do you think it entails, and then compare that to my view, and then say that it's a contradiction in my view. I'm not asking you compare like how do you feel about this thing, and then if you don't like the thing, tell me that it's a contradiction in my view. No, I'm asking, is there literally based off of my own view? Am I contradicting my own view? And the obvious answer is no. So that's just what I'm asking. Okay, there's no contradiction in it.
But yeah, I'm just saying this so we can get on with the rest of the syllogism. to be honest.
Bro, stop! Don't be like that. Do you actually think that its view is not contradicting itself?
I mean, like, okay,
I mean, can't you just give the full thing and then we can view the validity?
no, let's not do that.
No, we got to do this premise by premise because the way Coco's operating, he's just not getting what I'm saying.
Hey, actually, hold up. I got other guests in the box.
No, no, bro.
This is gonna be a whole
Bro,
thing.
we already got through premise 1. I'm on premise 2, bro.
Like, hopefully this doesn't take too long.
There isn't that many premises, bro.
'Cause, I mean, okay, the only reason I'm saying this for everyone that's watching, because I'm on YouTube and I'm also on Twitch. I'm streaming this simultaneously.
Oh shoot.
Because
Because Zypher, you have a history of arguments that are hard to and they're
That's a
work.
good point. But look,
They take a lot of time, and I want to give every guest like a fair commitment.
how many people are in the request?
There's like 2. One person stopped requesting, but
Look, let's just if I can't get this done by the timer, then we'll just move on. Like regardless of what's going on.
okay. Also, there's 16 people in here. Thank you guys for being here. Love all of you guys. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch my live stream. Please tap your screens and like the live. Also, like share the live with anybody who you think might be interested or want to debate somebody who doesn't believe in God. And I'm not sure if anyone sent any gifts, but like thank you for the gifts. They help me to like do this more often in the future. And like yeah, I appreciate it. But go ahead, Zyra.
All right, let me look at premise 2.
Okay, premise 2. Yep. You there, Zyra?
Premise 2 in my notes. Just give me a sec.
Wait, by the way, it sounds like you're running Patinga's transworld depravity.
It's
concept.
effectively that defense. I don't know what that defense is, but it's my argument is trying to mimic that defense.
I mean, admittedly, I will admit, I was on another live and somebody ran the transworld depravity concept by Patinga on me as like a defeater for the logical problem of evil, and I didn't really have a response to it. So, and I'm still yet to come up with a response to it. I'm working on that. But yeah, we'll see where this goes. I might not have like the most cohesive response to it.
Okay, so basically, premise 2 is long story short. Like it's just like look, it's logically possible that free will entail that humans are the ones initiating and sourcing the evil, and that's external to God. Like the evil is just external to God, meaning like God's not the one who's like willing the evil. It's like the humans. Like if like libertarian or like any view of just free will is true, that would just mean that humans are like the one thinking and like initiating and like choosing and being the source of the evil. That's like what free will would just mean. That's just like what we mean by that. Is that like something that is that view? Does that have a contradiction in it?
No.
Okay, that's premise 2. Look at premise 3.
Oh, what happened?
I have to look up the premises. I have to go in and out of the app.
Oh, okay.
Yes, premise 3 probably should be. So premise three, we'll just let premise three be premise three. But oh, by the way, this argument is formulated terribly. I'll just admit you that. Okay, but premise three, we're not talking like being a bystander. Like obviously, like if I watch somebody like get schmurdered in the street and I like had like a pew pew and I could have stopped it, you know, like obviously if I was just like a bystander or if I saw like some bullying and I just let it happen and I was just cool with it, obviously we're not talking about bystander notions here. But when I invoke premise three, like you understand that, right?
Sure.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so premise three is just if sin is external to God, sin doesn't mean God is doing.
You're in and out.
Yeah, I'm in and out. Yeah, if sin is external to God, then God allowing sin, doesn't mean that God is like doing an evil thing by allowing sin. If it's external to Him, if like sin, you know, it's occurring external to Him, independent of Him. Remember, we're removing bystander notions. Like obviously, if bystander notions are valid, then God is sinning by allowing sin. But you get my point.
Are you, when it comes to this God that you're talking about, is it the classical theistic God that knows future propositions before instilling anything?
Like we're saying no, we're saying with this in conjunction with premise two, which means that humans will be the source of the sin. So we would be, but we're talking, yeah, like it could be, it doesn't have to be, like it could be any God. It doesn't have to be like the Christian God. It could be the Muslim. Like dude, my point is, if sin is external to God, meaning God's not committing the action, nor is He causing the action, He's not initiating it, then God is not sinning by allowing sin. It's just something add extra to Him.
He's not sinning by.
Is it logically possible for this to be the case?
Yeah.
Okay, that's premise three. Almost done. We got two more premises.
You got 2 minutes.
Okay, premise is just, hold on, give me a second. Possible that a being could have morally sufficient reasons to allow sin?
I mean, that's just gonna be part of Patinga's transworld depravity.
Yeah. Like it's logically possible for God to have morally sufficient reason to allow it. Like that's logically possible, right?
Yeah, I would say yeah.
Okay, and then last premise. It's basically like morally sufficient reasons would not refer to saying that the sin in question is actually a good thing. Rather, that God is just merely just justified in allowing it, meaning like He's not evil. It's not negating any of His attributes or anything of that nature. Premise 5 is just like, that's all that, like, it's logically possible that this is like all that
I think I would disagree with that one.
like how how is that not, what's the contradiction in that?
Because I think you're running again the transworld depravity argument, which is basically just going to say that like it would be impossible for God to create a world without sin. Someone's always
No. It's saying that morally sufficient reasons do not mean that the sin itself is good. That it's just that God is just justified in allowing it. All premise 5 is just saying that's all that morally sufficient reason means. It just means God is justified in allowing this, not the thing itself is good. Like for example, like look, let's just say somebody punched my grandma in the face and I watched it happen. Look, I'm not immoral, and somebody say, look, I'm not immoral for watching it happen because I was actually like chained to the ground. And that would be a morally sufficient reason for me to allow it to happen because I literally could not stop it from happening. So I'm morally justified in allowing it to happen. And then what I'm saying is premise 5 is just saying by letting this happen, it doesn't say that somebody punching my grandma in the face is good. Rather, I'm just justified for watching it happen. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm, I mean, I guess.
Right. And then basically, like, if you combined all of these premises together, it's basically saying that the conclusion is, sin is like this external thing to God that he has moral reasons for, and that don't entail that, like, sin is good. So the existence of evil is not an intrinsic contradiction between God's omnibenevolence. That's all the argument is basically saying. That's like the conclusion, if you grant all those premises.
Tell me about that one.
Because look, like, how would you? Because look, the logical problem of evil is going to have to establish that God has committed some sort of evil action. If you're doing an internal critique, you would have to establish that. Because if there's no evil action that God is like doing in question, then there's no contradiction in evil existing and God existing. So like, look, because what this argument does is just limit all the ways in which God could be evil for allowing evil. So like, look, because if it's external to him, he's not causing it, he's not willing it. It doesn't make him evil in and of itself, which is another premise. And he has morally sufficient reasons for allowing it. And those morally sufficient reasons do not entail that evil is good. It just looks like, obviously, if evil exists, there's no intrinsic contradiction to this view of God.
I would say like all your premises are sound. I would say I would just question the validity of it, because I would have problems with like, what God are you talking about? Because there are other attributes that are.
I see what you're saying.
That are
like you would say, like, look, these premises on their own are sound. You just can't apply these premises to the Christian God. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'd probably say like that, because like atheists are just going to question you on like whether God knows like future propositions, or and they're going to question you about like the other attributes. And for one of your premises, you excluded like the bystander thing, where like God basically watches evil happen and like he doesn't do anything to like stop it. And then also, if God knows future propositions, he knew that the evil was going to happen and still instantiated it. But like, if you're ignoring that God knows future propositions, and you're also
remember, you can't say he instantiated it, because we already established with those premises is that evil is an external thing. It's external to God.
Well, yeah, but like, if you ignore that God knows future propositions, or if you ignore that God knows,
but Coco, you're already presupposing that his knowledge gives him some sort of.
Hold on. The only way that these like the premises are sound, but there's a lot about God's character or the way that God's described that you have to ignore, basically, for like God to be not responsible or not evil for allowing evil things.
Like what I'm not seeing with that argument's listening, because look, it establishes God has morally sufficient reason. It establishes that like the morally sufficient reason doesn't mean evil is good. The evil is something occurring external to God. If it's external to God, then he's not evil for allowing it. Then like I'm just not seeing where.
I mean, yeah, but like if God knew that the Shmolokos was going to happen, right? If he knows future events before he created anybody, right? And he still kind of like created everybody and set up all the dominoes, all the external and internal factors that were going to lead to the Shmolokos and the person that was going to commit the Shmolokos and everybody involved with the Shmolokos, and he still made that happen. It would question whether he's like truly all loving or all good. You knew something bad was going to happen, and you still kind of like set up the events to happen.
Well, with the premises, knowing wouldn't mean anything, because it just means that evil is still add extra to God.
And then also, if you do use like the transworld depravity thing, and you say that like God could create an infinite amount of worlds, and no matter what, someone's going to sin, it would question God's all-powerfulness, basically, which is like God can't do anything that he wants to do.
You're going against the transworld depravity. This is a similar argument to that, but it's not quite that argument. You have to remember that. It's not quite that argument. That's one that response. What I'm saying is that response you're giving is specifically tailored to the transworld depravity argument. I didn't necessarily make that argument.
I mean, I would say your argument is. I don't really see the difference between your argument and like the transworld depravity argument. concept by Patinga, but
But they're similar, but they're not quite the same. But like, look, Coco, like if you're granting the premises, like the conclusion is sound. Like there just isn't a logical problem of evil.
I wouldn't say that, like personally, I wouldn't say they were sound. I would say they're okay. I would say they're sound, but I wouldn't say they're valid. But I do
Yeah, are
have
you saying
three
like
guesses.
the conclusion doesn't follow from the premises?
No, I'm saying it's sound. Like it does follow, but like when it like logically it's correct. When it comes to the validity, okay, I guess maybe I'm using terms the wrong way. Logically, it's correct.
Yeah, because
when it comes to
I'm
the
not
validity.
yeah, because I'm not really getting what you're saying. Like, I think the best thing that you would go here is like, look, here's a set of premises that you laid out. They're just not applicable to the Christian God. Like that would be like the best case that like that I could get. Like I don't even know what you're saying.
I
No
would say
disrespect.
okay. I would say like I don't see any contradictions in your argument. It follows, I guess. But I would just question the truthfulness of each premise, basically. And like, I would say that there's a lot about God's character that you're ignoring, and this wouldn't really be like an argument that I would say is efficient for the Christian classical theistic God. You have to ignore a lot of stuff and take a lot of stuff out of the equation to then say like God is not responsible for evil, for in my opinion. Because
Okay.
you're ignoring that he's a bystander and you're ignoring that he knows future propositions. So it's like you're arguing for
Well, that point was just for the premise. Like it's just it's not ignoring like that God could be. No, it's not for the premise. Like it's just it's not ignoring like that God could be. No, it's not ignoring that. What the point was is that premise was not referring to that. It just wasn't
essentially
referring to
like
that. Now, obviously, God
like
could
this
be
argument.
evil. Like if God had a duty not to be a bystander, and then like he doesn't stop like the evil in that regard, then obviously like that could be a way in which evil is ad intra to God.
But hold on. This would be a good argument for like an open theistic God, to be completely honest. Like the things you're ignoring would be things that are like critical to like the classical theistic God. That's what I would say.
Okay, all right.
But I would say
But like it seems
I would say
like as of right now, like you don't have like the best response against it, but like I mean you're just thinking, right? Or you're gonna
yeah,
come up with one
but
later.
like yeah, but I would say come back later and we could like discuss it further. I'd be interested to sit down and discuss it further. I do have 3 guests in the box.
Yeah,
But
I've been
also
up here for a while. I'm gonna peace out.
but also like if you want like more advice, speak to some of the philosophers on TikTok, like Just Jim. Maybe more advice. Speak to some of the philosophers on TikTok, like Just Jim. Maybe run it by like Amdir and Ruxter if they will with you, like somebody more intellectual than me, but they might give you a different answer. Might be able to do it, or Wit might be able to do it. They will. But yeah, super intellectual. Sir might be able to do it, or Wit might be able to do it. But
Wait, did you just refer to Sir as a Christian?
Oh, and well, no, Sir's not a Christian, but like,
Yeah, peace, bro.
yep, zero. So I got 3 people in the box. I don't know who was first. That was a cool conversation. But give me one sec before I let anybody up. I guess I just want to say like, I do have to work on like my response to Platinga's transworld depravity concept in regards to like the problem of evil. I'm not really too good with the logical problem of evil, but it's a work in progress. I'm doing my research, and I think that was a pretty good conversation with Zypher. So I'm just gonna let me pick one. Let me pick that guy. Hey, you there, Avinash? You're taking a while to connect. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next guest. Your connection is sort of bad, so I'm just move on to the next person. I guess I'll do this person. Hey, Dr. Drops.
What's going on, man? Can you hear me fine?
Yeah. What's your age, and are you a Christian? I guess like I'm taking anyone right now, but are you a believer in God? I prefer believers in God.
Yeah, I'm 21 and I'm a Christian.
Okay, cool. So, topic is why should I believe in the Christian God? Can you convince me that he exists or that he could? My name is Mr. Coco. I'm an agnostic. I was once a Catholic, but I left Catholicism and kind of highly skeptical of the Christian God. So, feel free to make your best argument.
Yeah,
Thank you for
and
the
I want to
gift, guys.
preface that.
Oh, sorry. Before you go,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're totally fine. Maybe my connection is off. I'm having like Wi-Fi troubles at my house, but thank you guys for the gifts. They helped me to like do more of these lives. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for being here. There's 21 people in here. Please tap the screen and share it with anybody who you think might be interested in like debating me or talking about Christianity and atheism or really any religion. And really appreciate it. It's a good learning opportunity. To debate and exchange ideas and grow, and we should be skeptical about the things that we believe in if we're truly seeking truth. But thank you guys, and go ahead, Dr. Drops.
Yeah, I just want to preface that I'm like in my last 15 minutes of my shift, so I might. Can y'all in the comment? Oh, there you are. You're back.
Yeah,
Okay.
I heard everything you said. I was switching my Wi-Fi's. I think I'm freezing a little bit.
Yeah, I
Hopefully
think
you
you're
hear
good
myself.
now. Now I can see you pretty fine.
Oh, okay.
And now I can see you fine. So the way I talk about the Christian God more so is through Jesus Christ, because he's a historical person that we can go through, and that's actually why I think like the Christian God is the most probable God, because any other God claim from other religions and whatnot is kind of just painting him as like a transcendent being that's not really interactive with humans. Whereas with Christ,
or really quick, why do you think that he actually
yeah.
existed? Because that's like heavily debated amongst historians. Being that there's some mythicists who believe that he never actually walked the earth, and then there's like people who actually believe that he walked the earth. Why do you personally believe that Jesus walked the earth?
Because the general consensus is like Jesus existed. A popular atheist scholar who's actually against Christianity and does a lot of debates against Christianity, his name is Bar Ehrman, actually wrote that if there's anything sure that we know about Christ is that he lived and died by crucifixion. So we even have, Christian critics that, not necessarily, and by me quoting him like that, it's not that he believes Christianity, he's an atheist and against it, but he could grant that Christ was a historical figure and died by crucifixion. I think the myths about him now truly walking the earth or being a compilation of multiple characters or taken away from other, stories has been debunked like in the 90s.
Say that last part one more time.
I think any of the.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I said I think any of the doubts of mythicism about Christ being a compilation of like many characters that were made up or that he never actually walked were all debunked like in the 90s. It's a pretty outdated view. The question in hand is just who was he actually? Was he just like a crazy preacher? Was he a revolutionarist, or was he what he claimed to be? Is the question now.
But when you say like it was debunked, like what did you read that said that like Jesus was like this idea that maybe they like brought a bunch of stories together and like created Jesus and that he wasn't an actual person? Like how was that debunked?
Yeah, so there's a couple of books that were written addressing like a couple of stories. Like there's a couple of stories such as Mithras, which I believe is an Egyptian or Greek goddess, either one of the two. one of the ideas was that Christ was borrowed from that idea. There was another one where it says like he was also borrowed from like a Hinduism concept. Um, so there's a bunch of scholarly works that address all the different myths and how people draw certain similarities from it, like, oh, because he has a virgin birth here, and this goddess had something to do with virginity, therefore it was derived from Christ. Like they debunked like the connections between the two being related.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. There's like similarities between religions in regards to like Jesus and like yeah, I've heard that. And you're saying that people would study all these religions and then be like, oh, maybe Jesus is a cultivation of all these different religions and never actually existed.
Yeah, a lot of people do that, and I think even, a large consensus of scholars would agree that a lot of those stuff had been debunked. And like I said, even those who were critical of Christianity. Hey, what's up, John? I ain't seen you in a minute, man. Sorry, I was responding to someone in the comments.
There you
But
go. Okay.
I think the existence of Christ is, I would say, is well established in history, but his identity, I think, is what is heavily debated, for sure. And the position that I argue for the Christian God, or why someone should believe in the Christian God, is that who Jesus claims to be in the Gospels, he backed it up with evidences, and if what he said in the Gospels was actually done, then I think that's strong evidence to believe in him.
Well, technically, okay, yeah, Jesus did say that he was going to do certain stuff. He didn't really write anything. People wrote about him, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think, I mean, a lot of things in antiquity we don't have, like for example, Hippocrates. I might reference certain things that has to do like with psychology and stuff because I was a psychology major in high school, psychology and biology. I mean, in college. So we learned about Hippocrates. He was the father of modern day psychology. He came up with the idea or the ideology that psychology, like the mental illness of people, is largely founded on some biological reasoning, not spiritual or supernatural. Prior to him, people had this idea that it just had to be like some mythical thing. And a lot of his teachings that we know about his psychology was not written by him, but those who were his students. Even like philosophers that we know of, some Greek philosophers that we know of. I believe Socrates. Forget, I'm blanking on the other guy's name. A lot of those philosophers as well, a lot of the things that we know from their teaching is not because they wrote it down themselves, but from the school of thought of their own students. So history is riddled with followers of certain individuals writing now accounts about what they taught and what they said.
Wait, let me make sure on that. Wait, hold on. I could let me pause your timer while I search this up real quick.
No problem.
Or I'll give you some minutes after your timer goes out.
Yeah, you're good.
I guess you have a point. Like Socrates didn't really write anything about himself. Yeah, Socrates didn't really write anything about himself. Plato's dialogues are mostly vivid portraits of Socrates. Socrates is the main speaker in most of them. However, Plato's student of Socrates, Aristotle, Plato's student, wrote about Socrates. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, so historically speaking, a lot of the people that we speak of, like a lot of the stuff that they record down is, written by those who were witnesses there. I mean, even if we're talking about the United States, the independence of the United States, not all of the the American founding fathers wrote down about it, but there were some spectators that wrote down what had happened during the day. So with that being said, the Gospels, I believe, are eyewitness testimony of their eyewitness testimony of followers of Jesus Christ who were with him, recording the things that he said and did. So my position basically is to argue that the recordings of the stuff that they said he said and did actually happened. Specifically, his claim of supernatural acts, and specifically his death and resurrection. Because I believe if he actually died and resurrected, then I think that's a pretty strong argument to believing the stuff that he's saying.
Okay, so I would say, okay, so that's probably, this is where I disagree with you. So I would say that, so yes, you have a valid point. For a lot of people who existed in history, people wrote about them. And then, you know, for certain historical figures, we have like first-hand accounts, right? There are people who like wrote stuff themselves, and it wasn't like a second-hand account or something like that. When it comes to like Jesus's miracles, I'm doing research on like Christianity and atheism. Based on off of my research, we can't verify that Jesus actually turned water into wine, or walked on water, or cured a blind man, or brought Lazarus back from the dead. With all the Christians I've talked to, it seems as if like the only way to like ensure Jesus's divinity is like it heavily weighs on like the resurrection being true. And even with the resurrection, there's a lot of contentions about like the sources for certain things. But like it depends what sources that you bring up. But yeah, we can't really verify, like you're saying all the miracles are true. I don't really have anything that would lead me to believe that Jesus cured the blind man, cast the demons into the pig, multiplied fish and bread and fed thousands. And this is especially because like a lot of the people that were following Jesus were illiterate, so nobody was really writing things down as he was doing these things. So really, the only way to ensure that Jesus was divine is if he actually resurrected from the dead and fulfilled like some prophecy that maybe was foretold in the Old Testament.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. There's no way that I can, provide to you evidence independent of the resurrection of Christ walking on water, raising Lazarus without, like pointing the eyewitnesses. I think the eyewitness testimony would be an evidential point, but it's pretty minimal from that perspective. I do agree with you that it relies heavily on the resurrection, but I am willing to present evidences of the resurrection and why it's probably or most likely true. And if that had happened, then sure enough, if a person can raise himself from the dead, sure enough, they can feed thousands with food. Sure enough, they can walk on water and things of that nature.
Yeah. But yeah, so really it just rests like heavily like so are you saying that, so did you believe the miracles that were written in the Bible in and of themselves, or are you saying that they're true because you believe that Jesus rose from the dead, therefore granting everything else to be true?
Yes, because Jesus rose from the dead, therefore granting everything to be true. Because even Jesus' entire ministry laid on the fact that he would rise from the dead, that he would die and rise again. There's even a verse in the Bible that says that if Christ had not risen from the dead, everything that we believe is futile, it's false, it's basically nothing. But if he had risen from the dead, then we get the value of our religion. So even if we're doing an internal critique, the book itself gives us a measure which we could use to invalidate or validate the religion, that being the resurrection.
Okay. So why do you think the resurrection happened?
So I think the resurrection happened because of the vast testimony of it and the nature that in which it was given. So
What vast testimony?
So we have an explosion of people in mid to late first century that just start going around telling people that they had seen and personally interacted with the resurrected, crucified Messiah. This is not only recorded in Christian text. We have Josephus, who was a historian. He wrote down about there are these strange group of people named Christians, and they claim that they have seen a resurrected dead man. Even some of the Romans. There's a Roman guy, I forget his name. I want to say
Pontius Pilate, maybe?
No, not Pontius Pilate. He was a historian. Pliny the Younger, I think is his name. I could be confusing the name. Wait, give me a sec.
Oh, are you looking him up?
Yeah, no, I was just talking to someone real quick.
Oh, yeah.
248, yeah.
Say
Sorry
what?
about the background. I was about to get in my car real quick.
No, you can keep going. The timer ran out, but you can keep going. I'll give you a couple more minutes.
So the point I was making was I think it's Pliny the Younger is the name. I'm not 100% sure. Usually I have my notes with me. So I'm just kind of going off the top of my head right now. Yeah, it's at the top of the table at the back. On the table in the back. Anyway, I think we're done now. So I think he was a Roman governor. He writes a letter back to the Roman officials talking about a strange group of people, and he said this strange group of people, Christians, they do this communion thing about this dead guy at the hands of Pontius Pilate. Because of course Pontius Pilate would have been someone that he would have known in the Roman government, and he says that these people commemorate him, claiming that they saw him alive. So you have a vast testimony of people. So it's not only just Christian text that claims Jesus resurrected, but you have outside sources of people saying there's this strange group of people that think they saw a dead man. Other than that as well, when we look in the first century, when we look at first century Palestine, the early Jews followed Judaism, which was not just their religion as we think of today, but it
Okay, so
was
like, I don't know. A thing about that is that like, how do we know that these people that he was hearing about actually saw what they saw?
yeah.
A lot of like, a lot of what's being said about Jesus rising from the dead was word of mouth for like 10 or 20 years until we get like the earliest like text in regards to like him rising from the dead or people involved in that. And a lot of the ways that like information was like spread around was like word of mouth. So like some of these people could have just been spreading a rumor that they heard from like other people, and like nobody was really writing down things for the first like 10 years.
Yeah, but that's with most things in history, though, right? Like, um, when we look at can you still hear me fine?
You know.
When we're talking about
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit.
can you hear me again?
Yep.
Okay. So when we're talking about the resurrection of Christ, it's actually bringing up the point of how long it took till it was written down. It actually favors Christianity because a lot of the things that we have in history are far dated, longer than, I mean, further away from the actual person who claimed it. For example, Hippocrates, the first guy I mentioned, um, and his writings being written down, they weren't written down until over 100 years later, about what he said and did, but we still hold it to be valid. Socrates
Okay.
even,
Wait, whose works were written 100 years later?
Socrates, he's like the father of modern day psychology. Um,
Or,
you have Socrates, the philosopher I talked about. His stuff was not written down in his lifetime, or within decades of his death. It was written down much later. So we have a lot of examples from back in the day where the people's stuff were written, a century over their lifetime, yet we still accept it as valid today. I so I don't know why we wouldn't keep
well,
that same standard with Christianity.
I mean that also depends on like the content, right? So like if you have somebody who's doing psychological work or studies, right? We would
Mhm.
also evaluate the content, and yeah, it was written like years later, but we would value the content. Um, but what we have is like, wait here, let me check my notes. What we have is when it comes to like the Gospels, right? They were written like 10 to 20 years after, and they're telling us these miraculous stories of a guy who was doing all these miracles and defying the laws of physics and stuff like that. And it was spread by word of mouth for like decades and then written down only like years after. Evaluating the claim and also considering that like there's a bunch of time, um, a bunch of time regarding like when it was written. I mean, don't you think that sort of hints that maybe these were like fallacious or like maybe stories that were like made up, or they could have been warped or twisted or even like exaggerated in that time period where it wasn't written down?
Not at all. Because we could say that the same thing about almost anything else, right? Like we could say Hippocrates, what they say about Hippocrates' teaching is not actually from Hippocrates, because the claim is this is what we know Hippocrates taught us from the students. And his students told us, and then we learned it from his students, and this is the content of his teaching. We have to grant that the people were honest in what they were saying and the integrity of the things that they were saying. For us, the only way that we can infer some type of malice is to show some malicious intent in changing the thing, or some type of pattern of exaggeration or anything of that nature, before we could just automatically say that because it's in this certain category, therefore I think that that would just be a little bit more biased, especially considering that the writings of Christianity, even at its latest dating, which critics like to put it at its latest dating, at most is about 30 to 40 years after Christ's death. Almost any other writing of any other person within this same time frame as Jesus Christ is like triple um, that time before we get writings about what they said and did. So I think if we're looking from that perspective, I would see it very like biased to be like, even though Christianity takes a third of the time to write the stuff down, it's somehow still more unreliable than
Well,
the
yeah,
thing
but,
that took, say, 120 years.
well, yeah, but then there's like a difference between like you said it was like the father of psychology and like
Yeah.
psychological teachings. There's a difference between like that and stories about a man doing what we have never really encountered in nature, right? Just completely breaking the laws of physics.
Right.
But
Right. So it's an account of his life and the things that he did. So the Gospels are categorized as first century Roman biographies. So the context of it is, and the intent of it is not to tell mythological story, but it's to account someone's life, which would have been very important to the early followers of Jesus. They wouldn't have just followed a guy blindly um, that they were claiming was doing all of these things. Which was the second point actually I was going to make regarding Judaism. When you look at the explosion of Christianity in the first century, it was in amongst Jews who followed their religion very close, and their religion wasn't just as people follow religious acts today, but it was part of their culture. It was part of the ancestry. It was really a way of life that they lived, that their father lived that way, their grandma lived that way, their grandparents lived that way. It was kind of a passing down of their familial culture. But then we all of a sudden see in the first century, in the middle of this first century, right after Jesus' death, this explosion that led to the abandonment of these people's history, their literal history, into believing that this guy is a resurrected Messiah that they should be following, and abandon their ancestral roots. I don't think that people will just do stuff like that off hearing someone make some wild claim off the street. I certainly wouldn't, abandon a lot of my family's rights and traditions off of something I didn't have, evidence for.
I mean, I'm not really too sure about that because I mean, like, there's plenty of people who like come from families of generation and generations of Christianity, and they've decided to like try other religions or believe in other religions. Um, so I would say like two things when it comes to like an explosion of people believing in Christianity in history. Just because like a lot of people believe in something doesn't necessarily make it true, and then also and yeah, like if someone's coming from like a lineage that believes in like a certain belief and they just decide to believe in something else, um that doesn't necessarily like make it true per se. It just tells me that they were moved by like the very belief that they're believing in, and that could just be like sensationalism. It doesn't really tell me about the truth value of like the very thing that they're moving to. People convert from Christianity to Islam, right? And they come from families that for generations believed in Islam. Doesn't mean that like Islam is true, but
So the claim isn't necessarily that because a lot of people believe that, therefore it's true. It's assessing the nature of which the conversion happened and what they were claiming. Um, excuse me, give me 1 second.
but also, but hey, thank you for the gifts, guys. I really appreciate it. Everyone, double tap your screens and like the live. That helps bring more people in here. Also, comment below if I'm spending like too much time on like certain guests. There are people waiting. Sorry that like I'm spending like a lot of time with one guest. I probably should like make this go quicker. But I don't know. Like there's a lot to discuss.
Yeah, sorry, give me just like 2 more seconds.
Or actually, can I just bring you back? I actually have other guests that are waiting. But
Yeah, no problem. We could do that. Yeah, I'll be in the request.
Oh yeah. Thank you for the follow. Somebody just followed me. I really appreciate it. And honestly, yeah, like hey there, hey y'all, it's Janet. Good to see you. One of my close friends. Yeah, the conversation's like pretty okay. It's nothing toxic so far. It's supposed to be like Fight Night Friday. It's supposed to be like debates and like screaming, but I guess like I don't know, when I'm like more popular, I'll get more feisty and like entertaining debates. But honestly, yeah, like I like the conversations. I'm like learning and like being skeptical about what people are saying and yeah, evaluating the truth claim of like Christianity and the people that believe in it. And yeah, I guess I'm being nice. But I don't know. I mean, I want someone to be mean to me. I'm looking for like something entertaining I can like bite onto. What's up, Mary? Or sorry, Marilee? Or what do you want me to call you?
Merlin.
Marilyn?
Merlin.
Nice to meet you, Marilyn. Welcome. The topic is why should I believe in the Christian God? I'm agnostic. I used to be Catholic, but I kind of like deconstructed from that. And feel free to give me reasons why I shouldn't. I should believe in the Christian God.
If you was talking to the Son of God right now, what would you ask him?
If I was talking to the Son of God right now, what would I ask him? That's actually a very good question. I'd probably ask him like, oh, there's a million things I could ask him. Like, are you who you say you are? Maybe that would be my question. I think someone in the Bible even asked that question. Are you who you say
Yes,
you are?
I entered 2 bodies. I'm finna tell you right
Can
now.
you say it again?
The Son of God is the only one that entered 2 bodies on this earth. The Son of God is the only one who entered 2 bodies on this earth. So all things is his if he can enter 2 bodies. All things.
Wait, what do you mean by 2 bodies?
The Son of God was born twice.
You're talking about Jesus?
He lived inside of a man 2 times. Yes, the one from old, the one that's from the beginning. He came in the first time in the mother of Mary. And the second time he came in as a son of a man.
Wait, what denomination are you? Or if you
I
don't
asked
mind.
you, if you was talking to the Son of God right now, what would you ask him?
Maybe sorry. You might. This is like a new take for me. Because the Christianity I know is like Jesus was born and he unalived on the cross. I don't really see the second birth of Jesus. So I'm wondering like
Christianity? Don't you know Christianity is ruled by the person that killed Jesus? Christianity is ruled by the people that killed Jesus. I mean, unalive Jesus, my bad. They unalive Jesus. The Jewish unalive Jesus because he exposed them of being false prophets.
Wasn't it?
So Christianity, Catholics, if you are under them traditions, you is not the disciple of Jesus. Because the tradition of man is against the Lord. The tradition of a man is against the Lord. You put your mind into man thoughts and man ways, which is against the Lord. So they cannot be a speaker for Jesus. They cannot be an interpreter for him. None of them act in the ways of his disciples. And his disciples do not vouch for them.
Wouldn't it technically be Pontius?
It's in the Bible. It's in the Bible.
Oh, wait. Technically, wouldn't it be the Romans that like?
You said what?
crucified? Not the Jews. It was the Roman. Well,
No,
no.
the Romans didn't want to deal with Jesus.
Yeah, they wanted to release.
The Romans did not want to deal with Jesus because they found him innocent.
Or no, like they Pontius Pilate asked the Jews or the people at the time, should I release Jesus or should I like?
Can I tell you a secret? Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah.
Can I tell you a secret?
Go ahead.
Don't you know Satan? Don't you know Satan killed Jesus through man? Don't you know Satan killed Jesus through man, through the devil? The devil is Lived. That's the things that you see with your eyes, which Satan give man thoughts. So don't you know that they killed Jesus because of that? That's why they killed Jesus. That's why he died on the cross. That's why he died in innocent blood. He didn't die like a regular man.
Okay, well, like I'm not sure about all that, but also please say on a live because like of TikTok and
That's
stuff.
true. That's why he was on the cross. Okay, he was unalive. Why you think he got on the cross? For speaking the truth.
Well, because he was a threat to the Roman government.
He was against man traditions.
Yeah, he was saying that he was God, right? And the Romans didn't really like that. Pontius Pilate did offer somebody else in his place to be.
He is God.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that, right? But like so I would say like the Jews and maybe other people at the time, right? Pontius Pilate asked them like, hey, should I release Jesus or should I, crucify him or should I release this other man who was a criminal or should I crucify him? And yeah, technically the people were like, no, crucify Jesus. But I would say it was the Romans who carried out the crucifixion and the nailing to the cross. But in regards
I'm gonna tell you this.
But really
A
quick,
man has to be created, right?
Wait, hold
A
on,
man
hold on.
has to be created.
Wait, before you continue, what denomination are you? Because like what you're saying is it doesn't really align with like Christian belief per se. Jesus was born once.
Bro, if I told you who you talk to, you wouldn't believe me.
Wait, hold
No,
on.
look. If I told you who you talk to, you wouldn't believe me.
Wait, hold on. But like, how was Jesus born the second time? Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out. You're saying he was born twice, so
Jesus was born the second time because sexual immorality floats this earth. Hold on, look. Sexual immorality, it floats this earth.
It doesn't really answer my question.
So he will be
and
born as son of a man. He will enter inside of a man.
Wait, hold on. So Jesus was born.
Don't you know Jesus says? Don't you know Jesus said, "I will come again in the son of a man"?
Wait, hold on. Jesus was born via Mary, right? Via a virgin birth. But then when was the second time that he was born?
Jesus was born 2 times. Don't you know before? Don't you know before a man was walking, it was all spirit? So why do you marvel when I say he was born 2 times? Can he not be born twice if a man was made by a spirit?
You're not really specifying on like how he was born the second time.
Sexual immorality floats this earth. So you know what an embryo is? An embryo is a vessel. An embryo was prepared for the Lord. Another embryo was prepared for the Lord, where he would come in his second coming in the son of a man. See, he ain't coming son of a man the first time because a man did not have sex with Mary. So the second time when he come, gonna be in likeness of a son of a man. Two men gonna have sex. That's a woman and that's a male and a female. And he gonna be born on that son of a man. So nobody know when is the son of a man. Nobody gonna know when a time is him. Nobody ain't gonna be able to recognize him. until they read the scriptures and believe. But none of them know it. That's why they don't know where he at right now. And that's why I told you, do you know who you talk to?
Yeah. So
I'm not saying I'm Jesus because I live as a man. But this spirit that you talk to is the one you ask for and the ones that everybody speak of. I'm the one that live in the son of a man. I was born in the son of a man. My mother is Babylonian. That's in the Bible. It speaks my whole life. In United States, everybody that's in the United States is Babylonian when they got taken from Judah. All black people that's in the United States is the children of Judah. But they corrupted with these idolized things, what comes from Satan.
okay, so I would just say, okay, all that's pretty interesting. I'll look into it. I'll consider it. I'm probably gonna like move on to the next guest and see what they have to say. But thank you for coming up and like sharing your opinion. I appreciate it. Okay. So that was that. The minute I ask for my life to be interesting, my life becomes interesting. So cool. I'm gonna make clips out of that later. Okay, sorry, guest, your connection didn't really work. Sorry, Bruce. Try again in a little bit. But okay, I got clips now, so I can make clips later.
Hey man, what's going on?
What's up? How you doing, Quinn?
Not too bad. That one was interesting for sure, was it not?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna edit that later.
I will try my best to bring some type of clarity, and we may disagree, but at least I'll try and have some logic in there.
Okay. Oh, really quick before you go. Hey, everyone that's watching, there's 24 people in here. Thank you guys for being here. You could be like literally anywhere else, so I really appreciate it. Thank you for the gifts. I like appreciate it. It helps me to like do this more often. And please double tap your screens to like the live, get it on the For You page, and like get more people in here. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. And yeah, thank you guys for being here.
And thank you for having me, by the way. I appreciate you accepting.
So basically, like the topic is, why should I believe in the Christian God? I'm an agnostic. I used to believe in Catholicism, but I left, deconstructed from that, and now I don't really believe in God. I'm kind of highly skeptical of the Christian God. But,
Yeah. So interesting. I see why you left Catholicism. I was raised in a Christian household, but me personally, I didn't really know or care, honestly. I was just going about my day-to-day life. It wasn't until I had a lot of spare time in the Marine Corps. So I took a few classes, had a lot of novels, and started reading into quantum mechanics. By no means am I an expert, and I'm not a genius, but it was very interesting from what I could personally comprehend. And I started to know, I said, hey, you know what? It is more logical to believe in an intelligent creator outside of matter, space, and time, based on some of the subjects I was looking into. And I just had that natural human curiosity. So that's when I started looking into theology. I didn't really care about it. It was kind of nice going in because I was very unbiased. I really didn't give a crap one way or another. I had 2 + 2 in front of me. I wanted to find 4. You know what I'm saying? I wanted the answer. I don't care where it came from. So I read the Quran, quickly found out that didn't make much sense to me. Started reading the Bible, and I was like, hey, what is this, Jesus all about? What's this Jesus guy? Clearly he's notable. And long story short, I'm a Christian now, based off of reading the Bible. And it's been about 6 years now as a believer.
Okay. So what about reading the Bible made you think Christianity is true and like I can follow this?
So for me personally, whenever I opened it up, I was very skeptical of. I think organized religion, and I still hold this belief, is corrupt and nonsensical. I think it leads people into the ditch. So I didn't really want to take any word from anyone else. I said, let me start reading the text of my own accord and to get me interested in it, because it's a tough read, especially some of those, some of those versions in Old English is very tough. So I kind of liked history. So long story short, I started with the Gospels of Jesus just because I knew it was first century Rome. So I knew it was like historically accurate. And regardless of what I personally believed or cared about, I wanted to just read what the text said. And honest to God, I really find it more logical to believe that if there is a God, quote unquote, like God the Father, who's outside of matter, space, and time, of that God in human flesh to teach us the way out of the matrix, so to speak, the way to eternal life. And when I started reading like his actual teachings, I was like, dude, this guy's preaching love and life. Jesus of Nazareth was historically accurate, and they brutally murdered this dude. Like, the fuck's up with that? like that's kind of how I started viewing it. So I just found it to be logical
Oh,
and historically accurate.
how is it? How is it historically accurate? Like, what events particularly are historically accurate?
So like I would never, now I do use the Bible to justify the Bible because obviously I believe in it now, but I understand that for someone who doesn't believe it, it would kind of be like academically dishonest, I guess, to say because the Bible says, you know what I'm saying? So my sources for Jesus of Nazareth, I mean, we can agree, and scholars agree, that Jesus of Nazareth existed. He was a poor Jewish carpenter in the Galilee region in first century Rome. The only thing that is differed and debated is, did he perform the miracles he claimed to, and was he resurrected after his crucifixion? Those are really the only questions, and obviously those questions stem an entire belief. I believe that he did do those miracles and was resurrected on day 3 for multiple reasons. The first being, people actually saw him, those apostles, and it says, I believe, up to 500 within a month had eyewitness testimonies. And those apostles, again, historically were put to death for their testimony. Now, obviously, it can't be proven what they saw, but I totally thought it was worth noting that they got put to some pretty gruesome deaths and they were like standing on business, so to speak. Like, no, like, put me to death. I saw this. So I thought that was pretty compelling as well.
But yeah, I would say, okay, so I would say, like, in regards to that, I would say, like, just because people are like willing to unalive, and sorry, I'm not saying like the K word.
No. I'll do the same. I'm sorry about that. Guidelines and stuff.
Oh no, yeah, you're good.
Go ahead.
But like, I made a video earlier. I made a video like I think like a day ago about this. Christians do like to bring up the point that like Jesus's followers were like put to unalivement in like the most gruesome ways, and they like said that Jesus like did rise from the dead, and they like stood on that even at the point of death. But again, like this is not something that we don't observe in like cults, even in like modern day cults, right? You had what happened with Jim Jones and his following. There are people who literally believe that he performed miracles, and they trusted him and believed in him so much that they were willing to drink cyanide poisoning. And next thing you know, we've got like a bunch of like unalived bodies.
Yeah, even like Charles Manson, totally understand.
Yeah,
and I understand that that's not. Sorry, go ahead if you weren't finished. I apologize.
Yeah, and I mean, you have like multiple examples of these, right? You have like Heaven's Gate, where like they all wore those black Nikes, and like they ended up unaliving themselves, believing their leader, and believing that they were going to make it into heaven. So people won't unalive for a lie. that they know is a lie, but people will unalive for like false beliefs. So simply like unaliving for something doesn't make it true. And then there was another point that you had, but like I forgot what it was. But do you remember?
If you, I'd like to respond what you think about it.
Go ahead.
You're absolutely right, and there are cases of cult-like behavior, and you're exactly right. This fits the mold and the criteria of cult-like behavior if they were able to do something like that. The only difference is Jesus was more noteworthy. So it's let's look into that more to be like, all right, is this typical cult behavior claim? So whenever you look closely into it, the crucifixion was historical. There's some debate on the year, whether it was 31 or 33 AD, but the crucifixion was legit. And now this Jesus guy, again, whether you believe whatever you believe, he was causing a really big stir. So the Jews of the region obviously wanted to put him to unalivement because of his claims of being God. They didn't have any political power in the region as much as the Roman Empire did, obviously, because they were the empire. So the point being, sorry, it's a long run around. The point being, his crucifixion was so noteworthy, and the Jewish people requested from Pontius Pilate and the Romans that his tomb be guarded with a sentry for at least 3 to 4 days, just because they were preaching about this 3-day revival, and they didn't want a hoax or any, like, you know, they didn't want one of Jesus's followers to break in the tomb, steal the body, and be like, whoa, he was you know, they did not want, you know, any more conspiracy or uprisings to happen. So with that being said, like, we know how advanced like the Roman military was, and when you look into their sentries, like their security for tomb work and stuff like that, it's more illogical, and I think it really takes more faith to believe that it was all an elaborate hoax or lie. I really do believe that they would go to unalivement for this specific claim. And when we look at stuff like Jim Jones and Charles Manson's, we judge them by the fruits of their labors and what they were teaching. And we can all agree it was pretty, well, not all of us, unfortunately. Most of us can agree it was some pretty wacky teachings. Jesus' teachings were to love your neighbor as God loves us. So, I mean, that's just like, when I see such a wicked world we live in now, I go, you know what? Maybe he was onto something. So that's kind of just, you're totally right, and I've been on that side before, but I'm now so convicted in my faith, not based off of ignorance or like some church I went to, but truly based on like the spirit that I allowed in me. I like asked God. I was like, God, if you're real and I'm learning this stuff, let it be real if I'm gonna go and preach it. And over the last 5 or 6 years, man, like I'm compelled to get on TikTok lives now and talk to people like you and say, you know what, man, you're totally right. However, like the deeper I get into stuff like mathematics and science and psychology, I start to understand that like I really do believe with all my heart Jesus Christ is God.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess that does. I do remember what I was going to ask you. That does bring me to question like, does just because a religion has like good values, does that make it real? If it produces good fruits, does that make the religion real?
No, it doesn't make it necessarily real and or true. It does make it more noteworthy and looking into, because whenever I started looking into like theology or religion, I looked at the fruits of Muhammad, for example, and I know it makes a lot of people upset, but like the truth is he did some not so godly things, and I didn't choose to subscribe to that, you know what I'm saying? And it made more sense why he did that after reading the Bible. Like, again, I know you might not agree or whatever, but like when I was reading scripture, Paul in the first century is saying, hey, the devil's not in hell. Like I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but Paul was basically saying that the devil masquerades as an angel of light here on earth, like seeking whom he can like mess with and devour. Like, test the spirits. If there's an angel that comes to you and preaches a gospel other than this one, it's not a good angel. And 600 years later, we see Muhammad stumble into a cave, see an angel, and then do what he did. Like, I don't doubt he saw something. I just doubt it was a godly angel. I think he was being deceived. So, sorry, long answer, but no, it doesn't make it true or valid. It just makes it more noteworthy, more accurate, and then the more you dig in, like the more I had these questions, the more when I came to answers, became more like solidified in the faith.
Okay. So basically, you're saying like what solidified you in the faith was, essentially
Well,
like,
honestly, sorry, not to interrupt again, but what and I'll never use this on like any TikTok lives or anything because I know it's anecdotal evidence and it's personal, but like about that testing the spirits thing, like I've had personal experiences where I'm praying to God as like in the name of Jesus, and I see my prayers answered almost sometimes instantaneously, sometimes it's months down the line, but they're always answered in a way that is so ironically divine that I can never comprehend. But as I live my life and mature, I start to see God in like everything in life.
oh, okay. I mean,
Like I know energy can't be created or destroyed, only transferred, and I really do believe we're all unique individual souls. And I think when we die, our flesh will go back to the dirt from which it came from. But you either go, that energy's transferred from this earth when we're gone, and it's either with the creator or without the creator, just like wave function. Yes, no, positive, negative, cause, effect, binary, ones, zeros. You know what I'm saying? It all makes sense.
oh, okay. So I'm sort of hearing what you're saying, like personal experiences. I'm also sort of like multitasking, like making a quick post telling people that I'm live. But also like, yeah, like tons of people have told me about like personal experiences. A lot of people would say that it's like the lowest tier of like evidence for anything being true because
Absolutely.
personal experiences, right? You have Egyptians that see gods, you have Norse pagans that see gods, you have all sorts of different religions that see like their different gods.
Which again, I believe that those sightings did happen. Like the Bible does talk about fallen angels. So like I believe that those, like you can't believe little Timmy got cured from a brain cancer in a day, and that's a miracle. You can't believe in the good without believing in the bad. Like the bad exists as well. Like the devil and his angels do exist, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And people who I've gotten a lot of individuals who say, well, if God's real, why does this happen? Why does that happen? Some atrocious things we can say. And it's like, evil only exists because we have the freedom of choice, and true love could not exist if we didn't have the freedom of choice. Like if we all were forced to believe in God, that he would be a slave driver, essentially. But the fact that we have the freedom to choose, that allows true love to exist because we can choose on our own accord to believe and love God. And he would rather prefer we come to him on our own accord rather than he forces us to. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. That actually brings up a topic that I love to debate a lot.
Yeah, what's up?
The whole like free will thing, but also with the personal experience. Yeah, like everyone has like their experiences with gods. There's actually multiple things I want to talk about right now.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I've been yapping, man. Go ahead and do your thing.
But shoot, my brain is like distracted. I was like trying to post something so I can get more people in here. Let me like refocus. I was like multitasking, but I am listening to what you're saying. Yeah, like I hear a bunch of people with different personal experiences, and yeah, every religion has their set of sensational stories and like personal experiences. I'm not doubting that it didn't happen to you, but
yeah, I would never use it as like evidence because obviously it's personal and it's anecdotal. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be like, you need to believe it because it happened to me. Like, no, everyone's journey is unique. You know what I'm saying? It's a cool story for friends and family,
Also,
but
like,
it'll never be used as evidence.
yeah, it would be on like the lower tier. Could it be evidence? Like, yeah, technically it is evidence, but it would be on the lower tier.
Would you like to hear the highest tier of evidence for for
Maybe,
God?
maybe later.
All right, go ahead.
But then another thing is that you say that when you go through life, like you're kind of like seeing everything, like hints that God exists, or like everything is kind of like giving sign that God exists. Do you think that maybe like there is a possibility, like for me personally, I don't see the symmetry breaker between everything kind of just being like random and everything being like certain events are pointing that like a God exists. Also, do you think that maybe it could be like post hoc, like you believe in God and then everything that you see, you're sort of like associating with God rather than like you're more inclined to associate it with God rather than seeing it as like a coincidence, or maybe this could have happened without God being involved, and like you're not too skeptical on like looking into how was God even involved in this, and how could we even know that God was involved in this?
Well, I kind of came to the conclusion I wasn't really looking for God. It was it kind of just I like to say God found me through just natural creation and science. I mean, my area of study
How did he
was
really quick?
so I came to realize everything in reality follows a pattern, right? That pattern is birth, growth, entropy, and death. We can see it in the 4 seasons on Earth. We can see it in the phases of moon. We can see it in any living thing, obviously. And I saw this pattern scaled from the micro, like all the way zoomed in to atoms and electron fields, to the macro, zoomed all the way out to the life cycle of stars. So I said there is a constant, and for lack of time, I will say that the universe almost acts as like a pre-programmed software. So it led me to the question, well, who was the designer? Because I admittedly, as a man who likes to study science and math, you admittedly have to say there's areas we can't study, aka beyond creation. We can't necessarily we can theorize, but we don't have any tools to study anything outside of matter, space, and time. So I mean, technically, if there was a God who was outside of time, everything, you could say everything happens for a reason, and that wouldn't be fairy tale or phony, because if you believed in a creator who is outside of the 4th dimension being time, then that God is viewing us in this conversation right now, that he's also viewing the crucifixion in 1st century Rome, which is super, super trippy to think about, but mathematically and scientifically true. So whenever I came to the conclusion that logically there might be an intelligent creator, when I made the connection that Jesus was that creator, where his person, not only the things we were talking about, like the miracles and the resurrection that I believe, but his teachings specifically talk about things like being born again, and truly, I'm paraphrasing, but truly a kernel of wheat must fall into the ground and die to be born again. And I said, okay, well, that sounds like magical flowery words. What the hell does that mean? When I paired that with the science creation the pattern that I was putting together, he's absolutely right. Everything in life tells that story. An apple seed falls into the ground, dies to become an apple tree bearing more fruit. A caterpillar crawls into the cocoon, dies to become a butterfly. The sperm cell swims. It's a fiery, long swim, but it dies in the zinc explosion in the egg to be you and I, a human being. Like, truly, you must be born again. And I believe that when it's our time to leave this earth, and like I said, our flesh goes back to the ground.
Maybe did you say the sperm unalives in the egg in order to create?
Yes, in the zinc explosion.
I mean, like,
I mean that just as much as the caterpillar, quote unquote, dies in the cocoon. He doesn't literally die, so to speak. They become goo, follow the genetic code to become a butterfly. It's transformed, but that teaching, the teaching is applied to everything that lives, and it's worth subscribing to because he was the only one ever to have these unique, profound teachings. Like, we didn't see Aristotle, we didn't see Socrates, we didn't see Napoleon or any of these guys teaching this specifically, and he was the only one to be brutally unalive for these claims. And it's like, that's my God. That's the guy I want to read more about because that makes sense to me. And there's a lot of people that don't like him today. Like, you just say that name and people go, "Wah!" And it's like, whoa, like, I'm not your typical churchgoer. Like, this is just food for thought. You know, I don't want to shove anything down anyone's throat. I'm just so passionate because of what I've come to find, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, like, aren't there like many religions that talk about like the cycle of life? Like there are many religions that talk about like life and death. You can see like these kinds of elements in like um, some religions that even precede Christianity, but also like the Greek gods, right? They talk about like Hades, the ruler of the underworld, and they speak of things like souls and that people.
Yes, but don't forget, you're exactly right. All these, whenever I studied paganism too back in the day, because that would be unfair to just study the Abrahamic religions. Because obviously it's like, you know, Ancient Aliens and all these shows, like clearly there's something to that too. And when I was reading the Bible, I just believe that all those Norse gods, Greek gods, Roman gods, Buddhist gods, I believe that they're all fallen angels from the world before the biblical flood. And I think that as the cultures expanded from the Middle East outward, it was kind of like a game of telephone, you know, going on. So we see all these cultures have very, very similar teachings and very, very similar gods. But it's like they're just different names, but it's the same entities that exist way back when. I just don't think that they were good people. You know, I don't think they were good deities. I think they rebelled from God.
That's one way of putting it, but like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know about that perspective because like it does differ with Christianity. But I do like this conversation.
No, that's a biblical. Unfortunately, most people who claim to be Christian, like unfortunately that last woman you had on the live, no disrespect to her, but it's like my beliefs are all biblical based. Like in the Old Testament, that's 100% a belief that fallen angels rebelled from their spot in heaven, came down to earth, mated with women, made Nephilim. They were revered as gods. And honestly, the archaeology around the world today, if you keep digging, you kind of find that stuff to be true. Like biblical accounts of angels are like the head of an eagle, the head of a moose, the head of an ox. And then you see some of these ancient like inscriptions and it's like giant 12 to 18 foot beings with like multiple heads of eagles. And I'm like, okay, like, you know, I'm not going to be ignorant. Like I totally believe that existed too. Is that in the Bible? Started reading and I'm like, oh shoot, it is. Yeah, never mind. That answers my question.
Okay. Well, let me, because I do have like 2 to 3 people that are waiting in line. But
yeah, man, it was a pleasure talking to you, brother.
Yeah, stick around. Maybe later tonight we could even talk some more, and I could like ask more questions too. But it was a good conversation, and
I'm gonna drop a follow, man. Yeah, I'd love to do it some more.
Yeah, thanks for the follow, and I will follow you back. I do follow like everyone that follows me to show support to my supporters. So, but yeah, feel free to come back and we can continue the conversation.
Hell yeah, man. Think about it, brother. Think about it. It makes sense. It makes sense. Jesus loves you, bro. He knows you. He knows you.
I don't know. Man.
Good night, man.
We'll see. I'll see you around.
All right. Good night.
Good night. Okay, I see the 2 people in the guest requests. Let me take like a little like break. Let me show you guys what I'm looking at right now. Hopefully this doesn't like blind you guys, but like I'm like sitting at my desk, right? Let's see. I'm sitting at my desk and like you can sort of see like my laptop. My phone case is kind of broken, so there's a little bit of phone case on there. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitch. live streaming. I'm also streaming on TikTok, and like I got these lights that are just blasting in my face and like kind of hurting my eyes. I'm getting like a little bit of a headache, but yeah, let me take like a little break and we'll get on to like the next two people. So stay in line. I'm gonna talk with you guys, don't worry. Sorry that I'm also taking like a really long time when it comes to these one-on-ones that I'm doing. I don't really know how to time them. I don't know how like other people who run lives like me exactly time them per se. I kind of just go until like I guess like I deem that it's time for me to like move on in regards to the conversation. But I'll read some of the comments. If you can't believe in Christian God, then believe in Islam God. The choice is free. I have some problems with the Islamic God. I wouldn't really believe in him either. There's a lot in the Quran that I don't really think is true. Atheist Cats, I saw you in here, and you were saying no about some stuff. Please follow me on Discord, and maybe I could learn some stuff from you. I would like to hear your input, Atheist Cats. Let me know what I said that was wrong. Let me know what I said that was right. Yeah, I'll talk to you. Like, fuck it. Was I making any wrong points? You were like saying no, and you were saying like for F's sake. But okay, let me put my phone up and like stretch. You guys probably see me now. But also, thank you guys for being here. There's like 19 people on this live. I really appreciate it. Oh, he was disagreeing with the guest? Okay, if I'm making any bad points, feel free to like let me know. I'm not sure if I'm doing a really good job. I kind of got distracted in the middle of that because I was posting something on my social media saying that I'm live to get more people in here. And like I'm listening to the guest, but it's really hard to multitask between like streaming on other platforms and like I got my computer set up. I got like my one screen with like Twitch and YouTube on it. I got another screen that's like screen recording the TikTok program. I got my laptop open with my notes. I'm posting on TikTok. So like my brain's trying to keep up with all that. But holy shoot. These lights are gonna like make me go blind. But you let the guests ramble a lot though. Okay, I need to time these. I think 15 minutes is like 15 minutes is a long ass time. So let's do like 11 minutes. But yeah, I did let the guest talk for a little bit. I feel like I could have challenged him on certain points, but like my brain was like multitasking and there were certain things I could have challenged him on, but I just wasn't really like paying attention to those things. So yeah, just I have to get used to it. I think as time goes on, I'm gonna get like better at this, and I can like do this, do that, keep track, and like boom, 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 boom. But right now, it's like my brain is like, ugh. And these lights are like, I gotta get lights in my ceiling, so I'm not like staring at like pure brightness into my brain, like probably like fucking up my pupils or something. But hey, Barrage, I'm doing 1v1s, Barrage. Like I'm still doing group panels, but I'm doing 1v1s. Trying to get like Parker and Dean and maybe do this for a living. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. Or anyone else that debates for a living. But these aren't really like debates. They're like kind of conversations, to be honest. But I guess like I'll bring up Gabe. And then I'll get you later, Dan. And if you want to come up and debate me or have a conversation, feel free. But yeah, what's up, Gabe?
Can you hear me?
Drink some water and keep it going. Actually, let me grab some glasses. Like, hold on. Ugh, my eyes are hurting like a mofo. Like, I have these glasses that protect my eyes from like blue light, and maybe those will help me out. But how are you doing, Gabe? Doing good?
Hello?
Yep, you doing good?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Sorry, my app isn't pulled up all the way. I have like a sliver of it in the bottom. So, I wanted to join because I wanted to point out how many logical fallacies that dude was making. I'm agnostic, and I trust me, I want to be convinced, and I very much believe in science. I want to be convinced, because then if I'm not, that leaves me uncomfortable, because who is going to answer for the gratuitous suffering, the amount of it in this world, right? Sure, you can say free will and you need evil to have good. We could elaborate more on how necessary that really is, but what doesn't really sit right with me right now is, how do you justify gratuitous suffering, which is just excessive suffering, right? There's people who live their lives and their entire life is abuse. Like, literally, people in other countries, third world countries, are born abused from day one, forced into slavery and SA abuse until they're probably like, I don't know, in their 20s or maybe 14, 15, and then they're unalived brutally, some of them tortured, like that all of the worst things that you can possibly imagine happening to people happen to people that we just don't know about. I guarantee you it happens. And that suffering is solely gratuitous. I bet you there are people who live in this world who don't see a single shimmer of hope from day one to the last day of their life. And people can go and say, well, there was a plan for those people, and I'm like, what's their plan? And going and saying that like it's in heaven does not help prove or disprove the case of God's existence. That just takes the burden of proof and shifts it out of our own view and says, oh, there's no way to know, but God has his way. It's like, I'm looking for a reason to believe in God through stuff I can actually observe. That's why I have a problem with faith in the first place. I can't sit on faith and hope that there's a God to hold us all accountable for the gratuitous suffering we inflict on one another. I'm not going to take that as a good enough answer. Also, he made a shit ton of logical fallacies. Circle of life, right? All of these natural processes, and saying this is God, that's God. Well, I mean, if you want to say anything you can observe happening in life is God and make that semantics argument, sure, but I don't see any distinguishing or definitive differences. Let's say I don't see the separator between that and literally just being a natural process. If you think that all natural processes are God, then I think he has a problem. Not you, but like the guest. I think he just thinks everything's God then, which really doesn't convince me. That's all my problems, pretty much off the top of the head.
Exactly. No, like I totally agree with you. I'm also agnostic, and I left Roman Catholicism. And yeah, like one of my issues is like people kept telling me that like Jesus or God loved me and cared about me. And then I kind of go throughout the world and I see like myself suffering, and I see like corruption in the government and people's homes being I can't say the word on here, but schmommed. At the B where the SH is. And yeah, like you just see like a lot of suffering caused due to mankind, and you see like you see things like the onchocerciasis virus, which is literally is a virus that only exists to blind young children in Africa, and you see people born allergic to sunlight, and a bunch of like suffering that like when you really look at, and it's a long list of like.
I'm talking about like the worst of the worst, for example, like straight up like torture and like SA, like that shit happens to people, and that's all their life is before they get their life cut short.
Yeah, and you see all of it, and it makes you ask the question like, does a loving God exist with all of this happening and just choose to sit back with the power to stop all of it and do nothing?
Right.
Like I don't see how he can be loving and at the same time
all powerful and all knowing.
Yeah, all powerful and knowing, and then like a Christian's going to come up to me and try to explain to me that like it is necessary that someone gets raped in an alleyway because of some kind of like greater good. So like it kind of really doesn't sit right with me. It's like,
right.
What?
If they're going to say that that's part of the necessary, why in that specific case is that necessary? Like and then had their life cut short. A specific one, I expect an answer to that too. And if they don't have an answer, once again, I don't sit with shifting the burden of proof. I don't know if you know Darth Dawkins, but at the end of the day, all I end up seeing is presupposition, argument from ignorance, correlation. Like it's always based in some kind of, and I can't believe in it. It's not that I choose to not believe in it. It just won't convince me. You know what I mean? I feel like people mistake being convinced or having a belief in something with being a choice. Like, is it a choice if something exposes itself to me and says or is experienceable to such that I can see it and feel it, right? Then I believe that exists, not by choice, but because it stimulated my senses, right? In some kind of way, whether or not it's real or not. If I experienced it some way or another, then I am able to believe in it. The problem is I don't have any kind of experience that is without any sort of logical fallacy that convinces me. And faith is not an answer. That's just another shortcut, because faith is basically just saying believe in something without experience, which honestly is contradictory, because everything I believe in is believed in through experience. And if not, then I suspend judgment, which is why I'm agnostic. I don't do this middle ground belief bullshit. Convince me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
God, give me a sign.
Yeah, and like Darth Dawkins has like the worst like fucking arguments, like literally fucking terrible.
His arguments are buzzword gumbo, but my biggest problem with them is how overly controlling and childish he is. He doesn't really make much of a more complex position than anyone else that I really heard, except for he's just really good at his one specific, he has like his whole lingo like all down to a T. Like, he knows what he's doing, but he knows that it's very specific, and so he doesn't let anyone deviate him from his position, whether or not they're making a good faith point or not. He's overly controlling. He's a bully, and he's not there to actually engage philosophically, because anytime you derail him, he will absolutely go like apeshit on you.
Yeah. And also, yeah, like the guest, there was like a lot that I could have questioned him on. Like, he said he trusts all the events happening in the Bible. I could have questioned him on like, why do you trust all the events happening in the Bible? There are events that I've read in the Bible that like I don't really believe happened. We don't have any historical data, I think, of any. That the Exodus from Egypt happened with Moses and the people that he asked the Pharaoh to let go. And then, the flood just doesn't make sense by any like scientific or like physics means. And then, yeah, I could have questioned him on that. And then again, yeah, like typically when Christians tell me that like they go throughout the world and they observe God, and sometimes in their personal testimonies, I ask them like, what's the symmetry breaker between like it could be God and also it could just be post hoc, right? You believe God exists and then you interpret everything in your life as being like God doing stuff for you, right? How do we measure the involvement of God in these things that you are assigning to him as like God did this, God did that? I don't really see that. So like I'm agnostic to it, and like I'm even skeptical of it because I see more reason for why it could just be a random coincidence or something that occurs due to like the involvement of like human nature or physics or like things we can observe in the world. I'm more sympathetic to like naturalism than I am to like the Christian God, to be honest.
And I could say the same. Do you know the you're aware of like the fine tuning argument, right?
Yeah, but I know what it is, and I kind of dismiss it. I don't really think our universe or our reality is finely tuned. Everything you could.
Your live paused.
Oh, sorry. My phone's like running out of battery, but I'll plug it into the charger. But like anything that you could say is finely tuned. You could also point to something and say that like it's like fucked up. People like to say that like the Earth is in the perfect position to support life. No, there's like thousands of miles in the Goldilocks zone. You could literally move the Earth closer or further from the sun by thousands of miles, and it would still be able to produce life. It's not really finely tuned. And for everything that you can say about the human body that's finely tuned, there's something wrong with the human body. The human body is flawed in like a lot of ways. but yeah, so the argument doesn't really work for me.
There's so you're definitely that I'm in the same boat as you, and I agree with everything you said. But that's the fine tuning argument, like within laws of physics, which is probably more normative. But there's some people who like to try and shift that goalpost and say the actual laws of physics. I have heard fine tuning arguments from people saying, well, what if the weight of a proton was slightly more or less, or the weight of, like, basically any constant that applies to our laws of physics, like how much weight there is per amount of mass, or the effect of gravity, or how strong the strong force is. I hear a fine-tuning argument for the actual fundamental laws of nature, and they will say, well, if this fundamental law of nature was any different, then none of this could exist. And my problem with that is, well, how do you know? How do you know that this universe couldn't exist if the laws of physics were any different? If you are not able to experience universe with different rules, it's an argument from ignorance, I think, because that's saying that's making a claim based off of information that you don't have available to you. Who is to say that there isn't potentially another universe where the laws of the physics were slightly different or even hugely different, that it would not be able to support life? You can't prove it or disprove it because there's no way to enter that universe or simulate that whatsoever, that at least the person making the claim knows of. And then how else do they know that there are other possible laws of physics or constants for our laws of physics as well? So yeah.
But no, I totally agree with you. But let me move on to the other guests. I think I got like 2 people waiting. But it was good having a conversation with you, and feel free to come back. Later, I might be opening the panel to like tons of people, or having repeated discussions with certain people that I've had on before. So yeah, we can talk more in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah, come back anytime. And the next person is... Okay, give me 1 sec. The next person is, hey y'all, it's Janet. I'm excited for that conversation. But I'm gonna make like a couple posts to like let people know that I'm live. But also, I also need to focus more. I'm gonna focus more and be more in the conversation and not multitask. But thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm actually enjoying the conversations. I'm actually listening. I'm learning some stuff and like gaining from these conversations. And I enjoy speaking with you guys and doing a lot to keep this live going. But thank you guys. Give me 1 sec. I'm live. I'll probably just honestly forget the post. I'll fix that later and focus on this. Janet, what do you got for me? Prove to me that God exists right now.
Hey, Coco, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Good. This is so awesome to just be able to talk to you, because normally I'm just lurking because you have so many people on, but I love hearing you talk. So feel free to, at any point, give me hard questions, okay?
Okay.
Because I love it. So I was really interested in a lot that Gabe just had to say. I think he brought up a lot of good points and a lot of really difficult ones that I've had to really grapple with for the last, I guess I've been doing this for like a year and a half, and having a lot of really great conversations with atheists or agnostics, and been asked a lot of really hard questions. But the question of suffering is one that I've had to grapple with. And when you say, why do I believe you should believe in God? It's hard for me to tell somebody they should do anything because it's so personal. I believe you should be doing what you're doing, which is being highly skeptical and asking the questions that you're asking. So I have a hard time telling anybody that they should do it. It should, that should be what you decide to do. I can say personally why I do. But do you want to talk about suffering for a little bit? Because
Yeah, we can,
what do you,
but
or if you have anything specific you want to throw out there, do it.
also like, do you think that like, I know like most Christians would probably be like Christianity is the truth, and like this is like what you should do, and like God is like good and like follow God. But you're saying like people should do like what they believe in. Why not tell people that like God is good, this is the right path to take? Why telling people to like do their own thing and do like what their brain's telling them to do?
That's a good question. And 10 years ago, I would have been on the side of telling you, you got to do it this way. Like, this is the only way. But as I've talked to more people and, I'm 50 now, so I've seen a lot. And I really, truly believe from the wide variety of people that I've talked to, and my son-in-law is Hindu. And so I've got a lot of chances to talk to people that are not just different denominations, but also a completely, like, I don't even get Hinduism. He's so smart. I can't even keep up with him. So I've been able to just talk to a lot of people who I feel are really spiritual. And do you know anything about Christian mysticism?
Behind like Jesus not existing?
No. It's actually like I debated Parker once, like when I first started doing this. And when I was telling him kind of my views, he said, it sounds like you lean heavily towards Christian mysticism. So I really kind of started looking into that. And it really kind of goes along the path of, God is, if there is a God,
Yeah.
he's so big.
Pause.
Yeah. He's so huge.
Pause.
Huh?
Nothing. It's an inside joke.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's just so big. I believe that he is expressed through Christ on this earth, right? I get that, and I'll totally back that up with why I personally do. But I'm just not comfortable saying that, like, my son-in-law, who is Hindu and who is probably one of the most wonderful people I've ever met in my life, I just can't look at him and say, your path is wrong, because I believe that who am I to say that that's not part of his path and where that's going to end up? And I've listened to too many people of all different faiths
I hear you.
express love. And I get people that are Christians get mad at me because I'm too lenient, I guess, or too open. But why is Jesus not big enough to handle all of the questions that everybody has? My daughter right now is like leaning towards atheism, right? I don't even have a problem with that because maybe that's her path that she follows. I just think it's, I think you're on the path that you should be on. I think God's big enough to handle the questions. I've heard you say what made it hard for you to believe, and I really identify with that because, I have epilepsy, and I can't tell you the number of nights that I'm laying in bed and I feel completely alone. And I am like, why do I believe this? Because when your brain shorts out, you don't know if you're going to wake up to the EMS standing there or not. Like, why? Why, But I just don't have a strong enough reason not to believe. I think there's just something that keeps me there, right? And I was talking with some guys from Talk Heathen about a year ago. And that's kind of what I told them was, I've heard a lot of people, I'm sorry, I can't speed it up. Okay, it's nighttime and my brain doesn't work. I'm really sorry. I'm doing my best. But I get it. And Coco can kick me out whenever he's ready. It's cool. But I don't have a reason. I haven't found that reason not to believe, right?
Yeah.
Like I found a lot of reasons to doubt. I've had a lot of reasons to be skeptical. And
What keeps you believing?
more anecdotal stuff.
Oh.
Okay. I think that's when you go into what makes somebody not believe. It's usually their personal experience. Now, not always. Some people have a real scientific brain. And so I get where there's a lot of science that contradicts Christianity. And so, but there's also a lot of people who their anecdotal experience is what did cause them to really lose faith. So it's okay. More Madge of Flowers. It's cool. But so I think, you know, it's my anecdotal stuff that keeps me believing. There's just, you know, I'm a goofball. I'm sorry, man. I just look around and I just think this world is amazing for all of its crap that we go through and that we put each other through and that nations put each other through and that, you know, my own body puts me through. Like when I have a seizure, that sucks big time. There's a lot. There's also so much that I see. There's so much love and goodness that I see as well. And that keeps me holding on. And I've been reading this book called Dark Night of the Soul. St. John of the Cross, he's a Christian mystic, and it's all about suffering. And so I kind of tend to go back to some of the early writers. And I found a lot of peace with that.
Okay.
But, you know, I mean,
But also like I totally agree with you. Like whenever I go throughout the world, like the world is very beautiful. Like we kind of like tend to disregard like the little things, but like trees and like the sun, and even though like, work is hard and like surviving is hard, you know, getting in my car and driving to work, like, you know, the people that I interact with are beautiful people, character, love. You know, I had a dog. That's a long story. Lola, but she passed away, but it's fine.
oh, I'm really sorry because I love dogs and I'm like, you'll get me with the animals.
Yeah, and like all of these things are beautiful, right? Life exists of like many different beautiful experiences and like factors. Could this hint at a god? I mean, hey, God, I'm not canceling out the possibility that God created everything, but at the same time, this could just be like naturalism and like things that would have occurred without a God. Humans could just be nice in and of themselves, as like a survival instinct, or just this is just like a part of like humans, and everything could have just like came about due to like evolution and naturalism doing what naturalism does. I guess I don't know. I'm looking for that symmetry breaker to like lean me one way or the other, but yeah.
Would you need something more scientific? Would you say? Do you lean more that way? Like if there was something scientific that you could like hold on to, would that, you know?
I think not necessarily. I was actually thinking the other day, like, what would convince me to like believe that like God exists? I would say maybe just like, let's say I study the events in the Bible more, and they seemed like unrefutable, like the events were actually occurring, or like I studied the details around Jesus's resurrection, and no matter what atheist criticism I threw at it, and all the detective work I did, it stood tall to like all of the skepticism points. I feel like that would sort of like convert me into like Christianity. I think like one of my fears, right, is like this fear that kind of like was instilled in me whenever I was debating atheists, like fresh out of high school, and I wanted to like save people from going to hell.
Yeah.
It's the fear that like my entire life, my entire personality, like everything, something I like believed in, was just like a complete lie, and like I wasted time. I never really want to go through that again.
Yeah.
So I just really need like if I was to like be a Christian again, I just want it to be like real. Like I don't want to be like kneeling by my bed praying to somebody that isn't there. So
Yeah.
it's just like a waste of time, and I could be like drinking or smoking, right, and like having fun and like living life doing something else. Right?
No, I get that, man. Because, like, I mean, you hit that a little earlier. I had that crisis at, like, 45. And I'm like, have I, my life just started falling apart and my health started falling apart. And I was like, did I just completely build my life on something absolutely ridiculous, right? Like, man, there's been nights where I've, like, laid there and gone, is this even real?
Yeah.
You're like, what? I mean, but like I said, there's not been anything that's come along that made me just go, I'm just going to give it up. I know that's not the same for everybody. I think it's a spectrum, to be honest with you. I think it's a spectrum for a lot of people, and we're all in different places, and some lean more one way than the other way.
Yeah. That's but yeah, that's really. I don't think it would be a scientific process for me. It would just be like verification of like whether the events happened, and if it stands tall to all criticisms, then like I'd probably like go back to Christianity, and then like upon going back to Christianity, I'd probably like study history and
Yeah.
see like were certain denominations justified in like their actions, pursuits, and like are they truly doing what God wanted them to do, and sort of figure out like should I be Protestant, should I be Catholic, should I be Eastern Orthodox? That'd probably be like my journey. I guess for me, like the events are not verifiable to me, and also just when people say like God is doing stuff in their life, or like God is active in today's world, I don't really see a symmetry breaker that would compel me to believe that God is doing stuff. You can't really measure God.
Can I make a
Go for it.
make a point here, and you tell me what you think of this? So, like, I hear you. Okay, when Jesus was on the earth, let's just say that was real. Grant me that, 'cause we're having a conversation. So, basically, if you're on the outside looking in, watching that story, nothing looked like God was working in his life, because all the religious people hated him. They're all like, "You're full of it," trying to kill, trying to unalive him all the time. The only people that would hang around him were all of the basically, people in society that nobody would have anything to do with. And then he ends up being unalived. So everything that we see pointed to God not working in his life. And through that, God was accomplishing exactly what he wanted to. So that's what I would say to that.
I mean, minus like turning water into wine, raising Lazarus from the dead,
Yeah.
multiplying fish and bread. Like,
You're right. Oh, you got me. You're right. I like it.
I mean, like, he had some cool party tricks to kind of
He
like
did.
signal.
But even that wasn't enough, Coco. That's what I'm saying. Like, what do you do when that's not even enough, right? Like, he does all these things, and probably some of those very people who were like sitting there drinking the wine and eating the fish and the bread were the same ones yelling, "Unalive him, unalive him." Like, can you imagine?
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's true.
Yeah.
There's
But yeah, I would say, yeah, like I really need to, I need to do that pretty soon, actually. I need to make a list of like, why don't I believe in Christianity? Like, I know why I don't believe in Christianity, but a specific list. And like, let me like take time to like study Christianity and see like, if it has answers to like any of those like things that keep me from believing in the religion. And yeah, that's something I probably need to like take part in.
Yeah, and I've had to do that on the opposite way. Like, why do I? I have to really like look at why really do I, so that I can actually have these conversations and not just come out with the standard stuff, and that's where this community has helped me so much, asking me those tough questions. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, okay, I guess what else do we talk about? I haven't seen anybody requesting to come up.
We can talk about whatever until you're bored or your audience is bored or until somebody comes up. You can kick something else out there. Give me another hard question if you like.
We could talk about the problem of evil. But what do you think about the problem of evil argument? I feel like
Can you tell me specifically when you say about the argument, can you give me a
So I mean, like, I think most people on TikTok are probably going to do like the evidential problem of evil. So they're going to say like God has certain characteristics of being all loving, all powerful, and like
Yeah.
omnipresent, and yet we live in a world with like natural disasters, disease, rape, bank robberies, evil and suffering that's occurring via humans' decisions, but also just naturally throughout the world. Or, for example, people being born with like an allergic reaction to sunlight.
Yeah.
In the sky for like 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, you had mentioned that when you were talking with Gabe. And just for myself, I would say that that's one that I'm still trying to wrap my brain around because, as you know, when you're raised in it, you just accept that, right? You just kind of accept it and go, oh, it's just kind of how it is. But to really sit there and have to look at why a good, quote unquote, good God is, it kind of makes me reframe the definition of good. Okay, this is just kind of where I'm at right now. I'm having to reframe a lot of things and go, maybe I've been misinterpreting what good is, right? Like what is good? I don't know if that makes any sense. I hope nobody makes fun of me, but I would. So I don't know, but do we really even know what is good? Now, take that with a grain of salt because I think that children who are born with illness, I think suffering of any kind, I don't take that lightly. And, you know, I suffer with epilepsy and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And so it's not like I just go, oh, that stuff is good. It's not good. It doesn't feel good. I can tell you my own personal experience. I've had growth come out of it and I'm not unalived yet, so I'm making it through there, but I kind of have to go, what's the alternative if we only live in a world where God only lets good stuff happen? I would prefer that, to be honest with you. There's only two choices, though, isn't there? Just there's either a world where it's all good or a world where there has to be some evil. And I know, you know, I see somebody write, we live in a fallen world. And yeah, that's like a Christian thing that we all say. But that gets into the free will thing of we have free will to, you know, destroy the earth and do horrible things to people. But at the same time, God does have the power to come down and stop it, right? And why doesn't he? I would like to know when I'm having a seizure, right? Like, it's just my little pea brain. Just give me this little favor. So why doesn't he? So...
Also, do you believe in like the classical theistic God that he knows like future propositions?
You know, that's a good question because I would have definitely just said yes a few years ago. But as like scripturally, does it say that? Because I would go back to scripture and have to search like, where did I get this notion that he knows everything that's happened, everything that's happening, and everything that's gonna happen? Like, is that a man-made thing or is that in the scripture? Like, I sometimes I've kind of wondered, but then it's like we all say, you know, he knows everything that's going to happen. And I mean, I guess he does, but to be honest, Coco, like I have to.
Yeah, I actually have a couple of ones. Because there was somebody back in the day when I started this TikTok thing that challenged me and said like God doesn't know the future, but some of the verses that would say like God knows the future is I think Job chapter 37 verse 16 and Matthew chapter 6 verse 10 talk about God has perfect knowledge.
Yeah.
If you there's a couple, one in Jeremiah, one in Hebrews, one in Psalms, one in
Yeah, I'm just remembering one in Psalms that I always go to in Psalm 2 where it says, the Lord in heaven laughs, he knows what is to come. He's talking
yeah.
about the nations warring, and he says he laughs because he knows what is to come. He knows, you know, he knows that evil won't win, especially. So, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he knows our like those verses I was mentioning, God knows our hearts and minds.
Yeah.
So like yeah, like I would say the Bible's like hints.
All
like,
right, you got me. And yes, I do actually read my Bible a lot. It's just, you know,
I know you're totally fine.
I got to go back and read it all the time because it feels like I'm always like having to go look something up or learn it or check myself or whatever, you know.
Yeah. Would you say that sometimes? Okay, like I'm being a little mean, not mean.
Do it. I can take it.
Okay. Would you say that God sometimes like instigates evil, being that he knows future propositions, but then he still chooses to create people like Schmittler or like
No.
Serpent. He still chooses to create the tree that he puts in the garden
Yeah.
for Adam and Eve. And I guess that's one question. But another question would be like, people like to think like free will is the reason that God doesn't interfere in our world. But I think that's kind of like ignoring like the Bible, right? Because you have stories about like Jonah who rebelled from God, and God trapped him in the whale until Jonah did what God wanted him to do. So God is like in stories like that and some other stories always infringing on the free will of like people in the Bible. So does God think it would be better off that he allowed the Holocaust to happen, being that he didn't step in to interfere with that? Or like transatlantic slavery or many of the other like terrible things that happen in our world? So like God's not really opposed to like infringing on our free will, essentially, because he's already done it in the Bible.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like, and I mean, I have no, yeah, I have to say that I'm agnostic on those. Like, how could I even, I don't even know what to say to those half the time because I still grapple with those myself, right? Like, because you're right. He stopped some of it, but then, you know, the horrible wars that we have where you see children suffering and stuff, like I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think that my problem is a lot of times Christians they don't have any empathy and they just kind of do this thing of, well, it's just God can do what he wants to do and blah, blah, blah. But that's so unempathetic because, you know, there's people, you know, people really suffer all the things that you mentioned, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. And I don't know why he doesn't stop it. It doesn't mean that I don't believe he exists. It definitely means I don't understand. And so I have those moments of doubt and skepticism and kind of feeling bitterness.
Which is normal. And it's like,
yeah, exactly. Like, why?
Also, sorry, I'm like smiling a little bit, but it's like because like my brain was thinking of like that woman that like came in earlier and was like, Jesus was born twice.
Oh my
gosh.
Like, I was like, here we go. You said you wanted it.
Like, I'm thinking about like the funny edits that I can make with it, and that kind of made me smile like a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do.
This is awesome.
but I do have one person that's requesting. So I'll probably bring you back up later, and I think around like 10 o'clock. Honestly, I'll open it up to a full panel.
All right. Well, Coco, it was so good just to talk one-on-one with you. It's so good.
And yeah, you're honestly like one of the Christians that like I'm like, oh, okay, this is probably what Christianity should be. And like these are one of like the nice and like amazing Christians that like I really appreciate. So.
Well, I think the feeling is mutual. I think you're one of my favorite agnostics, and they should all be like you.
Okay. I mean, I don't know.
I know. Okay. All right. Well, I'll be watching.
All right.
Okay. Bye.
Oh, wait, before you go, you haven't left yet, right?
No.
I think Gabe might want to talk to you. He told me not to drop.
No, I wanted to say before you go that you are the most honest Christian I've ever seen on this app.
Gosh, Gabe.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Thank you. Like I was in the shower, but I heard that last part about saying that you don't know and you have some
Yeah.
what is it, frustration with it, and I've never heard a Christian say that ever, and my mind, like you that isn't the first time I've ever seen that, and I am like, that is just such new information to me, and I just thank you, because that's I feel like deep down a lot of other Christians have the same problem, or questions, and they are afraid to point out that they have those questions because maybe they're afraid God will smite them or something. And it's like, thank you for just being honest with it, because no one else has ever said that,
Well, that's
So-
really cool because I was just, sitting here watching, and I haven't been on a live in a while, and I requested because I could hear your frustration and I feel it, and you had so many valid points to the previous caller who, I thought was really nice too, but
Yeah.
so yeah, I really appreciate that because, I struggle just like everybody else does. Mostly not Christians would admit it. You're right.
Mhm.
But I do. So,
And I'm not going to shut myself off either. Like, even though I have those questions, I won't choose to be atheist because I'm willing to admit maybe there's just something I'm missing and I just don't understand God the right way. And I'm willing to have someone convince me. But at the same time, I've never had someone who wanted to try to convince me be honest with themselves like that.
Yeah.
And so that's so much more helpful because that makes me so much more willing to keep trying to learn and see what I'm missing.
good for you, man. Don't let the Christians just totally get you down. I'll
Yeah.
apologize for all the doofuses out there because I used to be one of them, but I really have learned more from like Coco and all his gang, and a lot of atheists have actually grown my faith more than a lot of Christians, which is sad, but it's true because I love when he asks me those hard questions. I love it. It makes me really dig deep into why, and not just be doing something just because it's what I was raised in and what everybody said I should do.
Right. And instead of us getting stuck on like a philosophy question, like fine tuning or any of this other bullshit, it's like, here are the problems we have with our own positions.
Yeah, I'm not smart enough for his philosophy friends. I'll tell you that. If this was a philosophy live, I would keep my mouth shut.
Oh, you're fine.
That's too smart for me.
I don't think it's just as much of a thing of being smart, but more of being able to just elaborate it with words that are more regular, because I feel like a lot of people just want to go 100 miles an hour using the most complex words and then act like everyone else is stupid for not knowing what they're saying. And I think that's so incredibly disingenuous, and I hate Phil Bros for doing that. I think it's a topic for everyone, and people are just being elitist and gatekeeping it because it really, there are some actually honest, good questions, but all I see is people getting stuck on those same questions because all people do is want to be gatekeeping Phil Bros in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree with you about Darth Dawkins. He makes me absolutely freaking crazy.
Yeah, I tried to engage him and be honest, and he, like,
Did he block you?
the second I tried to be honest, but still point out the fallacy he was making, he just shut me down and disrespected me so fast. And I tried 3 times, and the third time I was like, I'm done. Like, if I see this person in life, I might actually consider shoving them over.
Oh my gosh, please, yeah.
I wouldn't, but
There would be a lot of us in line for that job.
yeah. So But
Well,
yeah,
it's
thank
nice
you.
to talk to you, Gabe. Thank you just for that. And that was awesome.
Thank you too. Good night.
All right, bye. Coco, I'm leaving. I don't know where Coco. Oh, there he is.
Hey, okay. But sorry, I had to go deal with something. But yeah, okay.
All
I
right,
guess-
good. All right, glad you got to take a break.
Yeah, I'll see you around.
All right, bye.
But let me see. Yeah, I don't know. Just waiting for the next guest, I guess.
I'm just playing Call of Duty. Have you ever heard the anthropic principle?
I've heard of that. I think I've even studied it at one point.
I think the anthropic principle is my best understanding, if I remember correctly, as the argument against the fine-tuning argument, like the pointing out of the fallacy. There was one more like really big Phil Bro philosophy. I wouldn't say Phil Bro, but one other philosophical argument that I forgot the name of, that I wanted to bring up and point out, but I can't remember off the top of my head. So if it comes back up, I'm here muted and listening. If you don't mind me just staying up, is that okay?
Wait, sorry, repeat that one more time. I searched up what the
I'm playing Call of Duty. I can't remember the name and the exact thing I was wanting to bring up at the moment. But would it be okay if I just stayed up for now in your live until it came back in mind while you talk to other people?
To be honest, yeah, like there's not much going on right now. What's that?
I'll do my
preset
research real quick.
But yeah, my brain's busy. But I'll have to look into that actually, the anthropic principle. Maybe even use it against the fine-tuning argument.
I feel like the name of the principle is sounds way more like complex and like over, you know, what was it? Pretentious, I guess. Like the word itself sounds super like a big word, but it's really just a simple concept. I think it's the principle in its definition, or at least more accurately, is how could we be here to how do you explain it? So
Actually, wait. Let's put a pin in that. I've got another guess.
I'll Google it while I wait.
Okay.
Yo,
What's that?
Coco, do you play Fortnite?
Yeah.
What's your username?
Yeah, 1 sec. You want to play right now? I'm kind of down.
Oh, really? You're down to play right now? Okay. Do you want to do duos?
Sure. I'm not really doing it. Okay, let me save this in my bookmarks.
Give me a second.
But yeah, like while I'm waiting for oh shoot, Megs, I'll play with you. Yo, this is gonna be sick. Okay, cool. I get to play video games with Megs and Mob, dude. Fuck yeah. But hopefully, like my computer doesn't crash because I have like I'm multi-streaming to YouTube, Twitch. That's it basically. I have like a program open and I have TikTok running.
All right, I'm back now. I've got what the anthropic principle, which is kind of what I was saying earlier, but more from a observational point of view. So it's basically the observation. It's also known as the observation selection effect, and it once again is derived from the fine-tuning idea that like, oh, if all the laws of physics were any different, then we wouldn't be here to, like, we wouldn't exist. And then while pointing out, well, how do you know? First of all, how do you know that the observation selection? It points out that if we were in another universe that had laws of physics that prevented us from existing, then we wouldn't be able to be here to observe that in the first place in order to prove that in the first place. You know what I mean? So in order to prove the fine-tuning principle, you have to be in a universe where we wouldn't exist, but we don't exist, so how could we observe that? Right. So there's no way to test it, and that shows that the fine-tuning argument is based off of something you can't observe in the first place.
No, it isn't. I can't find anyone named Beth Two Peoples. You liar.
That's all I had to say. I guess I was just doing a bunch of circular thinking.
Coco, what's your Fortnite name?
All right,
What's
guys,
your-
one sec. Also, that was like a childish reaction to like playing Fortnite with you guys. I don't know. Sorry.
What do you mean?
Nothing. I was like a little kid. I was like, yay, but like I don't know.
Bro, I'm hella excited. What do you mean?
No, you should play Call of Duty with me instead. Play Modern Warfare 2022. It's better.
I wish I had a PS5, but I don't.
Also, like I might suck because I have to play on my keyboard. I'm not sure if my like Xbox controller that I used to like plug to my computer still works.
Megs, that's not your name. I looked it up. I looked up that name. Unless it's just Beth Two People, not Peoples.
I wish I could even show you like guys with like my live stream. I can show you like my game footage. But let's see if it'll work. I'll see if it's plugged in. I use this to play. Like plugged into
Games
my
Xbox. Of course it's not. Oh. What's your actual name? Type in your actual name, Megs.
Wait, she doesn't play Fortnite.
Yes, she does. No, she doesn't.
To people. What do you mean by Beth to people? Like, what does that mean?
I know exactly what it means.
Like,
What? I mean, Beth Two. I don't know. That's why I laughed when I saw it.
is it a slur? Hopefully, that's not like.
No. It's not a slur.
Okay, I hope my remote control works. It's just the movement joystick is like fucked up.
It's from a paper where some guy made an argument. I forget the name.
I haven't played in like
Some
a
type of
long.
harmony argument, I think.
Hopefully, I'm not as.
Coco,
What?
I need to add you. What's your name?
Oh yeah, I'm almost there. It's like loading.
Oh,
All
okay.
right. I remember what the other argument that's like on the same level as fine-tuning is. Have you heard of like the infinite regression problem? Hello?
Coco, he's talking to you.
Oh wait,
Yeah, have y'all heard of the infinite regression problem?
I didn't know there was a problem regarding infinite regress.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. I didn't know there was a problem because the name of that that's like philosophical sector or whatever or observation presupposes that there's a problem in the first place. Yes, but the idea is
right back.
like what started the universe or what made the first thing move, because the idea is that you can't go back in time indefinitely because everything is a cause and effect chain reaction, or like not reaction but cause and effect relationship with things in the past. And so if everything had something cause it, like something in the past caused it, like I came to be because of my parents, and my parents came to be because of their parents, and so on and so forth, until you have like these molecules being in this place because of these other molecules, all the way down to the Big Bang. And even before that, the idea is that you can't go back indefinitely because something would have had to be the first mover, the prime mover. If there was nothing to move something in the first place, then how could it have started moving? Which, if you are good with fallacies, you would have noted that I made a argument from ignorance. If there isn't something, then how could this be true? Is an argument made from a lack of knowledge, which is why I don't think there's actually a defined problem with the law of, or problem with infinite regression. It's because, well, if there was a problem with it, then you would have to actually prove that something requires a prime mover, which you can't because no one can go back in time. And not only that, but making an argument for a prime mover is just as fallacious as assuming that the universe is infinite in time, because we have never observed infinite in the universe going backwards, and we have not actually observed a prime mover. there is no natural prime mover that moves things on its own without a cause before it.
Okay, Mob. Mob, do you want my username now? Mob, you there?
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have waited till y'all were already ganged up. My bad.
Mob, you there?
Mob, I'm sorry. Come back.
Come back, Mob. You might be in a game actually.
Oh, I am so sorry about that.
Oh no, you're good. I could probably play like one game by myself and then like them later.
Once again, though, the argument that's ignorant is assuming that there had to have been a prime mover in the first place, yet not having ever observed such a thing.
All right, I'm back. Coco, you got your username?
Yeah. Just type Mr. like MR dot.
Why are you laughing?
It's
MR dot.
Yeah, CO3.
Oh, it's literally okay. Fuck, my controller might die while we're playing. I hope it doesn't.
We can't observe infinite regress nor a prime mover. That's pretty much the synopsis, that there's neither position is a better position to take.
I see Mr. Coco 33.
Yeah, Mr. Coco 3.
I don't see Mr. Coco 3.
What's your username?
Few Pheasant 8712.
Okay, wait, how do I spell that?
Okay, wait, is this an Epic Games account that you're using?
Yeah.
Why don't I see you then? Are you sure you're not Mr. Coco 33? Or is it just Mr. Coco 3?
I mean, should you send him a friend request so we can find out?
I see Mr. Coco 342, Mr. Coco 300, and Mr. Coco 3. 2 3s.
Oh, 2 3s?
Okay, why don't you add me? I'll type it in the chat.
Yeah, type it in the chat and I'll add you. Megs plays Fortnite? Ain't no way.
Of course Megs plays Fortnite. I knew that.
There's no way.
Megs, what's your account? See if I can find you.
Megs plays video games? Ain't
Hey,
no way.
host, can I ask you something? Are you kind of like done for the night with the baits and stuff?
I'll probably continue them, but
Oh.
but I'm sort of done for the night, to be honest. Like, I might open it up to like a bigger panel.
I can't fucking.
Because like there's not a lot of people coming in. Might try again some other day. Okay, how about now, Mob? Did you get an invite? Oh, but sorry, Gabe, you're trying to talk about something and we're like just completely off topic.
Huh?
Sorry that you're trying to talk about something and we're just completely off topic.
Oh,
You're good. It's your life. It's your life.
It's because there's a space, Coco. That's why it didn't work. Yeah, I got your invite. I accepted you. I'm gonna invite you to my party.
Okay.
Where are you? You're playing. Says you're playing free for all.
No, I'm not. I'm not even in the lobby for free for all.
Megs, Megaroni. That's almost as bad as Beth 2 people. Megaroni. What the?
Yeah, it's cool. I think it's cool.
Like macaroni. Megaro.
I did not get anybody. Wait, hold on.
Yo, remove Robbie's mod. I spelt it. Magaroni.
Okay, your avatar is a female, but like no, you can do whatever you want. Like wait no, sorry, it sounded weird.
What, mine?
Yeah.
I can hear myself. I can hear my echo through my TV.
Oh, you can hear my mic.
Like Yeah, I can hear it in the game.
That's probably me.
Okay. I added Megs. Oh wait, no, I didn't. Megaroni. Oh, God damn it! Can you just add me, Megs? It's not working.
Yeah, I can't find her either.
Oh, maybe. Do you have to put the number sign?
Okay.
I didn't put it. Hold on. Where the fuck's the number sign?
Wait, you put it with the number sign? I put it with the number sign. I couldn't even find it.
Nah, it's not there. Meg's lying again.
Tell her, I don't know, to type Mr. Coco with the space. Or type it out, or you type it in the chat, and then like she'll probably be able to find it. Just gonna need your name and I'll add you. Okay.
Yo, let me see what battery level my controllers are at.
Y'all playing Fortnite right now still?
Okay. Yeah, we're about to.
In the process of.
We're gonna do trios, but if Megs would get the fuck on. Discord
Wanna
with
do
your name.
mods?
I put it in
I
the
just
chat.
gotta reinstall the game. I got fast internet. I got a nice PC.
Okay.
All right, yeah. I just gotta get off this current game, and I should be good.
Coco, can you turn the mic off for the game? Coco?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Because I can hear all the echoing. And like we don't need it because we're gonna be talking on TikTok. Oh wait, are you gonna debate while we're playing?
Maybe.
Okay, if you're gonna do that, then you can. If you're gonna debate while we're playing, then that's fine. You can keep the mic on. Oh no, that's echoing.
Oh, hold on. What do I need?
Jesus, I gotta. Can I mute your mic? Oh, I can mute you. There. Okay, I muted you.
Oh, okay. But you can just hear me on here.
Megs, hurry up! God, I want to play.
Bro, I bet I can soft download Fortnite on my computer and log in faster than y'all. Get your shit set up.
For real. God damn it, Megs. Hold on, did Megs add me already? No, not yet. Megaroni. Yeah, I spelled it right. Let me just look up Megaroni. There's only 5 Megaronis.
You guys should have told me sooner that you guys play Fortnite. What are you playing this whole time?
I asked you like I asked you like 2 weeks ago, Coco.
Oh, really?
And you said you're like, I don't really play Fortnite anymore. That's what you told me.
Oh, oops. Oh, shit. Maybe I don't know. I play with IC keyboard all the time.
Okay, maybe I'm confusing you with someone else then.
IC keyboard and some other guy on TikTok that I play with. Why is Megs is like, okay, never mind. I'm gonna stop. Megs is like so relatable. Like, on God.
Relatable.
Yeah, like Megs. Okay.
Look at that smile, Coco.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Megs is an awesome person, except she's so slow at adding people as friends.
Megs, hurry up.
No, I think her controllers are charging. Did the live just freeze? No.
Did it?
Mob, are you playing on a console or PC?
Console.
Host?
I'm playing on a PC. The same PC that like I'm streaming to 2 other platforms.
Oh yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, must have a good PC.
I mean, yeah, it's working fine right now, like perfectly fine. Like it must be a powerful PC. Like, I mean, it's old. Like I bought it like what, a year ago?
A year?
Yeah, it's doing its thing.
A year?
Yeah, a
And
year.
you call it old?
Huh?
A year ago when it's old. Really?
I mean, like the newer PCs nowadays, like they I mean, you know, PCs
All
nowadays.
right, Coco, do you want to do a duo while you wait for Megs?
Sure. Do you
Or
do?
will that take too long? Well, Megs, how much longer do you think you'll be? The duo game could take a while.
Do you want to do a 0 build?
Oh, that's like no. What the building's half the fun of the game.
Oh, like I typically just do 0 build. I never even build.
Wow, you're a pussy. Don't worry, I'll build some nice stuff.
But I can.
Nah, you know what? We could do 0 build. I don't know. I don't usually do that. I've actually never done it. So.
Okay, but can I pick?
Oh my. No, I'll just do. It's updating right now. Oh. I don't know. What's up to you, Coco? Do you want to wait or do you want to play a game?
Oh, yeah, we can play a game.
You want to play a game? Okay. I'm gonna do just normal duos.
Oh. Yeah.
Are you good at building? And we can do no build when Megs comes.
I suck at
After.
that, but like I'll be fine.
I'm terrible too.
But also like I need to warm up, so I'm not trash. And slow you guys down.
No, I'm really bad at this game, Coco. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
You're probably gonna be carrying me.
Like on 0 build, I'm just like killing the game.
How did my dog get in here? What the hell? Sometimes I don't remember letting my dog in my room, and I just turn around and he's like chilling there.
It's so weird. Believers also play this game. Oh.
What?
Christians play Fortnite?
But it's satanic.
I don't believe it. There's 13 people in here. Nobody wants to debate me? Get up here. Let's dance. Let's dance.
All right, I'm installing Fortnite now, and I'm at 3%. Yes, for me, y'all should definitely win on me.
Oh, I mean, we've already started.
Oh, damn! You didn't even ask. Okay.
No, we're not gonna round.
Well, I had something I wanted to bring up. This is the other debate, philosophical debate topic I hear.
Over there. There's a fucking kind of
I just struggling.
there's a vendor's box where I put the off there. I'll show you there. Right there. There's the vendor's box there. So people don't usually get to it first. I'm gonna get it right now.
Oh, no, I didn't see it in time. No, my PC is like bugging.
Grab the vendor's box.